All right, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we doing? We're just getting right on into it. We're just going to go ahead and get right on into it this morning. No starting video. Yep. We're at it. How we doing, you guys? Check into the stream. Good morning. Good morning, Minnesota's tuned in. Check in. Let me know where you're tuned in from. Sure, this is good. Got no audio right now. Let's pull up like Tel Aviv or something so we have something in the background. So we're not going to go crazy. This will be the latest information we get. There you go. You know, just something. So we're not in dead silence while we wait. After the U.S. struck Iran yesterday at 3 uranium enrichment sites, and the U.S. has officially joined the war between Israel and Iran. And so now we're going to see what happens. We're going to see where it goes from here. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning. Good morning. Madness Heights, Minnesota. It is early. It is 6:50 in the morning. 6:50 in the morning. Holy news early. Good morning. Hello, John Al. Good to see you. We got our own little niche morning audience. I don't get to see a lot of you guys often. I'm sure you guys watch the stream after because it's early and you're in bed. 10 minutes away from Monday. Holy cow. My contact still isn't like in place. Takes a minute. How we doing? Everybody on Twitch? Everybody on Facebook? I gotta share the stream on Facebook a little bit. I already shared it to all of our groups. What to expect from this? It's Pete Hegseth's first press briefing of a major event other than when he was confirmed. Hello. Oh, Blonde Bombshell Big sending in 10 gifteds right off the bat. Oh boy, appreciate the coverage. Independent stream, you guys. I've reworked the YouTube channel a little bit so things make more sense on the homepage. So I hope that'll help you guys navigate the content a little more. Also, Good Morning Keeve is back on the homepage. I know you guys love that. So that's up there. Dubsy Dabs, appreciate the 2 there. Big support. 43 degrees here in Montana. It's hot in Minnesota. It is hot. We got a big heat wave coming through. Good morning. Everybody check in. Let me know where you're tuned in from. I don't know why my chat on Twitch is being silly. My chat on Twitch won't load. There we go. Everybody check in. Let me know where you're watching from. Hello. What up, Jeffrey? Also, let's just say that 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. Eastern time on a Sunday morning after joining a war is diabolical. I mean, this is beyond. And this is on purpose, okay? Sunday morning, summertime, people are either A, sleeping, or B, the audience that should be listening, a lot of them are going to church. Or they're going to be getting ready to go to church here. They're not going to be, they'll listen to a different news host tell them what Pete Hegseth said today instead of just watching it. That happens a lot too. That creates a layer of misinformation on its own. You guys are just naturally more informed by watching it from their mouth, even if it's Pete Hegseth and you guys don't like him, or you do. You'll be able to at least know that you're hearing it from him directly. Hello. It's 5 a.m. where you're at. Yeah, we got nearly. They're gonna start in 7 minutes ish. What up, Crossville, Tennessee on Facebook? Good morning. We've grown up big time on Facebook too, by the way. If you've been following on Facebook, I appreciate that. Renegade Mod Chungus, member for 28 months, says President Yam Tits ruined your weekend. Oof. He does do that. That does happen. Hello, how you doing? Merculic repoed out. Yeah, we were up all night playing games. Hello. From the Green Mountains. Hello from the Green Mountains. Hello. 79 degrees here in Kentucky. Hello. Thanks again from LA for reporting. You've been awesome, of course. Whole lot of California so far this year. I'm cool with it. As you guys are checking in, we got the briefing coming up here at 8 a.m. live. We also got live in Tel Aviv as well. There were strikes back on Iran late last night. Oh, excuse me, there were strikes on Tel Aviv. I'm sorry. Iran struck Tel Aviv last night. There were about 2 waves of missiles coming in. I got the app downloaded. I wasn't live, but I was watching it. We were tracking it. Much love from Lovestown, United Kingdom. Hello, hello. Right contact. I gotta make an eye appointment and get new contacts. I have a lot to do. Iran has moved anything critical. Here we go for this. Yeah, we still got a few more time. Also, a few more minutes. Preston Stewart posted today because we've been. And I actually messaged him. Shout out to Preston Stewart, and I just was wondering, hey, do you have any maps? I hit him up. I was like, have you been seeing anything? And he's like, not really, other than the static satellite images that we see, because there's not really even any battle damage assessment or anything. We don't have like actual solid concrete video of anything right now, to be honest, or a photo. We're going off of like gotta fix my contacts. Sorry, I took my contacts out for like a little bit just to get ready for the stream because I had them on all night. Gotta get glasses. We haven't been able to find much to verify for like solid information. Fordow nuclear facility. There you go. From 22 June 2025. Possible bomb entry points. Possible subsistence. Sorry, guys. Up all night gaming. Hello, everybody. With Liz also. We had Liz Feller. Oh boy. What the hell is that? What the fuck is that? It's too early. It's too early for this. It is way too early for this. This is how you're supposed. This is the music when you end the night. Back when you used to watch TV in America, when this screen came on, you were passed out, and it was like 3 in the morning. What in the hell, bro? Oh my god. I'm not adding this music. This is the briefings music. I just want you to know that. DVD menu music. Oh boy. Well, it is 6:56 in the morning right now. What in the hell? Hydrate. Everybody hydrate. Holy. Well, that was wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that. Oh, jeez. Another one. Reveille. Everybody wake up. It's news time. Wake up. This 2025. This is every day now. This is your life. We're in hell. But we're gonna get through it. When the going gets tough, we're gonna keep going. Are you feeling patriotic yet? America. Your ears are hurting. I don't know what to. I'm sorry. We're getting ready for a football game, I guess. Rudy's speech. This is main menu music. This is Call of Duty main menu music. All right, guys. Are we playing multiplayer campaign or the single player campaign? So far, it's multiplayer. You had to mute that? Listen, just like prepare yourself, okay? Call of Duty main menu music is better than this. You're not wrong. Guys, you have to salute the video, okay? That's what it is. All right? We're not a country anymore unless you salute the video. Unreal. Bro, I literally can't believe that this is... PlayStation 2 World War II music. You're about to embark. Sound it. Your arm hurts. You have to stand at attention when this song plays. Alright. Yep. You gotta be ready. You gotta get the heck out. Bro, we're already in like, what is it in The Boys? You guys watch The Boys on Amazon? They got VOT Newsnet with VOT with Homelander. That's what this shit is. But this is real life. Isn't it fun? The Boys is so good. You gotta watch that. Real good television right there. For Super Earth. Oh boy. Helldivers music. I gotta get this contact fixed. This counts as church, I guess. The red, white, and blue flow through you. Yeah, this is like The Patriot with Mel Gibson DVD menu music. When you're like in the scene selection. This is scene selection music. They are late. They are. I mean, I mean, did you expect that they would be on time? I'm on time. I'm early, and they're late. We're different now. You guys feel American yet? Oh my God. Jesus Christ. This is literally, like, bro, we're at 1984, aren't we? We're at 1984. And that's what's happening. We're living that now. We're there. It is. I guess this is what it is. So okay. We've watched many Pentagon press briefings, and none of them have started with this. Didn't they happen? They happen at like 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Or something like that, or like in the afternoon. Come on, guys. Hey. You're waiting for the 4 horsemen. What's written in 1984? Oh, everything is backwards, basically. War is peace. Briefing is so early, Hegseth can start drinking after? Potentially. You know, yeah, it was Sunday afternoon. Nooner or sooner. Wait, it's at 8:30 now? Are you seriously? Are you guys serious? What? Wait, did they move it? Oh, God. God. Are you serious? Well, wait. Who put it out that they're starting at 8:30 now? Oh. Yeah, you're wrong. I'm right. Live.
Well, thank you for joining us this morning. Last night, on President Trump's orders, U.S. Central Command conducted a precision strike in the middle of the night against 3 nuclear facilities in Iran. Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan in order to destroy or severely degrade Iran's nuclear program. And as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs will demonstrate, it was an incredible and overwhelming success. The order we received from our commander-in-chief was focused, it was powerful, and it was clear. We devastated the Iranian nuclear program. But it's worth noting the operation did not target Iranian troops or the Iranian people. For the entirety of his time in office, President Trump has consistently stated for over 10 years that Iran must not get a nuclear weapon. Full stop. Thanks to President Trump's bold and visionary leadership and his commitment to peace through strength, Iran's nuclear ambitions have been obliterated.
Okay.
Many presidents have dreamed of delivering the final blow to Iran's nuclear program, and none could until President Trump. The operation President Trump planned was bold and it was brilliant, showing the world that American deterrence is back. When this president speaks, the world should listen. And the U.S. military, we can back it up. The most powerful military the world has ever known. No other country on planet Earth could have conducted the operation that the chairman is going to outline this morning. Not even close. Just like Soleimani found out in the first term, Iran found out when POTUS says 60 days that he seeks peace and negotiation, he means 60 days of peace and negotiation. Otherwise, that nuclear program, that nuclear capability will not exist. He meant it.
Right.
This is not the previous administration. The President Trump said no nukes. He seeks peace, and Iran should take that path. He sent out a truth last night saying this.
Oh my God, I just spit.
Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight.
Wow.
Signed, the President of the United States,
Signed.
Donald J. Trump. Iran would be smart to heed those words.
Wow.
He's said it before, and he means it. I want to
Social
give
media
recognition to the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the Joint Staff, General Eric Kurilla at CENTCOM, who did a phenomenal job, he and his staff, all of CENTCOM. Policy across the board, this was a joint effort, and across the Pentagon effort. I want to recognize the pilots who flew those bombers, who flew those fighters, who flew those refuelers, warriors. I want to recognize the sailors on those destroyers, in those subs, on those carriers, warriors, all of them. I want to recognize our soldiers doing air defense, base defense, QRF, warriors, all of them. Every American involved in this operation performed flawlessly. And I want to give recognition to our allies in Israel as well. This is a plan that took months and weeks of positioning and preparation so that we could be ready when the President of the United States called. It took a great deal of precision. It involved misdirection and the highest of operational security. Our B-2s went in and out of downtown Tehran, of these nuclear sites, in
Downtown
and out
Tehran?
without the world knowing at all. In that way, it was historic. A strike that included the longest B-2 Spirit bomber mission since 2001 and the first operational employment of the MOP, a massive ordnance penetrator. The mission demonstrated to the world the level of joint and allied integration that speak to the strength of our alliance and our joint forces. As President Trump has stated, the United States does not seek war, but let me be clear. We will act swiftly and decisively when our people, our partners, or our interests are threatened. Iran should listen to the President of the United States and know that he means it, every word. I want to give congratulations to our Commander-in-Chief. It was an honor to watch him lead last night and throughout, and to our great American warriors on this successful operation. God bless our troops. God bless America. And we give glory to God for his providence and continue to ask for his protection. I turn it over now to the chairman for specifics.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thanks for
A lot of ass kissing
recognizing all of our folks out there doing our nation's work, and nice to see everybody on this early Sunday morning. Last night on the President's orders, U.S. Central Command, under the command of General Eric Kurilla, executed Operation Midnight Hammer, a deliberate and precise strike against 3 Iranian nuclear facilities. This was a complex and high-risk mission carried out with exceptional skill and discipline by our joint force. I want to thank every service member, planner, operator that made this mission possible. Their actions reflect the highest standards of the United States Armed Forces. This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability to project power globally with speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. I'll refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details. At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States. As part of the plan to maintain tactical surprise, part of the package proceeded to the west and into the Pacific.
I'm posting this on Twitter right now.
A deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command area of responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Esfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys, as the 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. The strike package was supported by U.S. Strategic Command, U.S. Transportation Command, U.S. Cyber Command, U.S. Space Command, U.S. Space Force, and U.S. European Command. As the strike package approached Fordow and Natanz, the U.S. protection package employed high-speed suppression weapons to ensure safe passage of the strike package, with fighter assets employing preemptive suppressing fires against any potential Iranian surface-to-air threats. We are currently unaware of any shots fired at the U.S. strike package on the way in. At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordow. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. We are unaware of any shots fired at the package on the way out. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise. In total, U.S. forces employed approximately 75 precision-guided weapons during this operation. This included, as the President stated last night, 14 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, marking the first ever operational use of this weapon. I know that battle damage is of great interest. Final battle damage will take some time, but initial battle damage assessments indicate that all three sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction. More than 125 U.S. aircraft participated in this mission, including B-2 stealth bombers, multiple flights of fourth and fifth generation fighters, dozens and dozens of air refueling tankers, a guided missile submarine, and a full array of intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance aircraft, as well as hundreds of maintenance and operational professionals. As the Secretary said, this was the largest B-2 operational strike in U.S. history and the second longest B-2 mission ever flown, exceeded only by those in the days following 9/11. Well prior to the strike, General Kurilla elevated force protection measures across the region, especially in Iraq, Syria, and the Gulf. Our forces remain on high alert and are fully postured to respond to any Iranian retaliation or proxy attacks, which would be an incredibly poor choice. We will defend ourselves. The safety of our service members and civilians remains our highest priority. This mission demonstrates the unmatched reach, coordination, and capability of the United States military. In just a matter of weeks, this went from strategic planning to global execution. This operation underscores the unmatched capabilities and global reach of the United States military. As the President clearly said last night, no other military in the world could have done this. I join the President and the Secretary in being incredibly proud of the air crews, naval forces, cyber operators, planners, and support teams, and commanders who made this mission possible. It is their skill, discipline, and teamwork that makes this operation possible. I am particularly proud of our discipline related to operational security, something that was of great concern to the President, the Secretary, General Kurilla, and me, and we will continue to focus on this. As we stand here this morning, many assets are still airborne, and we have hundreds deployed. I ask that we keep our warfighters on their way home and our deployed service member in our thoughts. Our joint force remains ready to defend the United States, our troops, and our interests in the region. Thank you very much.
We will take a few questions, Phil.
Me?
Yeah.
So, is regime change off the table, Mr. Secretary? And to the chairman, you said the battle damage assessment is still ongoing, but do you believe that some nuclear capability in Iran?
No, I'm writing notes.
This mission was not and has not been about regime change. The President authorized a precision operation to neutralize the threats to our national interests posed by the Iranian nuclear program and the collective self-defense of our troops and our ally Israel.
Thanks for your question. I think BDA is still pending, and it would be way too early for me to comment on what may or may not still be there. But thanks for the question.
Green. No, behind you.
Excuse me, Mr. Secretary, can you tell me, was there a particular moment when the president decided to pull the trigger on this operation where he said, now, rather than being, something in the holster, now we're going to pull the trigger on it?
I would just say, having the opportunity to witness his leadership, he was fully committed to the peace process. Wanted a negotiated outcome, gave Iran every single opportunity, and unfortunately was met by stonewalling, which is why he gave them plenty of time to continue to come to the table and give up enrichment, give up the nuclear program. But there was I won't say the particular moment, there was certainly a moment in time where he realized that it had to be a certain action taken in order to minimize the threat to us and our troops. Yeah.
General, you say that General Kurilla increased force protection in Iraq, Syria, and Gulf, in those areas.
Everybody check in, live press briefing.
Advance warning the attacks were coming? And also, Mr. Secretary, when were congressional leaders notified? How long before the attacks took place?
Sure. To your first question, the risk has clearly been rising over the last few weeks in the region. Based on that, and not a particular awareness of this operation, we've made smart decisions to minimize the risk to U.S. forces in the region.
So they were given no advance warning?
No, sir.
You didn't say they were destroyed. They were severely damaged.
They were notified after the planes were safely out. Well, we complied with the notification requirements of the War Powers Act.
After the attacks, they were notified?
They were immediately thereafter. Yes.
Thank you, Secretary. Two quick questions. Do you believe you completely destroyed Iranian nuclear program? And how about Iranian ballistic missiles? Your ally at Israel always saying that is biggest threat. And second question is very important. What will be your next step if Iran or militias under Iranian influence in the region attack U.S. interests or allies in the region?
And you can chime in on this too, Mr. Chairman. The battle damage assessment is ongoing, but our initial assessment, as the chairman said, is that all of our precision munitions struck where we wanted them to strike and had the desired effect. Which means especially in Fordow, which was the primary target here, we believe we achieved destruction of capabilities there. Ultimately, wherever it may be, whether it's in Iraq or Syria or bases in the Gulf, as the president said, it would be, as the chairman said, it would be a very bad idea for Iran or its proxies to attempt to attack American forces. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Regarding retaliations, Iran and North Korea are cooperating on nuclear and missile development. Do you think there is a possibility that Iran, North Korea, and the other forces, such as China, will join forces to retaliate against the United States?
Well, unfortunately, because of the policies under the previous administration, we drove those countries together, and ultimately that creates a challenging environment. For this particular operation, the focus is on Iran and Iranian nuclear capabilities. That's our focus here, is to not just say that they can't have, but President Trump has said from over 20 years, frankly, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. And ultimately, he decided this is the moment, given their stonewall.
I already got my notes wrote up for you.
Military action had to be taken to prevent that from happening. Yes.
Thank you very much. General Kane, I understand OPSEC, I respect OPSEC. Can you say at all what security procedures are being taken to protect U.S. troops in Iraq and elsewhere in the Middle East? And Secretary Hegseth, as a global war on terrorism veteran, what do you say to veterans who may be concerned the U.S. is getting into another open-ended war in the Middle East over weapons of mass destruction?
Thanks, sir, for the question. I won't comment on what force protection measures are being taken in the region. What I will say is we're being proactive and not reactive, and being very thoughtful about ensuring that we do all that we can to protect our forces out there.
And I would just say, as the president has directed and made clear, this is most certainly not open-ended. It doesn't mean it limits our ability to respond. We will respond if necessary. The most powerful military in the world is postured and prepared to defend our people. But what the president gave us, as I said, was a focused,
good morning, everybody.
powerful, and clear mission on the destruction of Iranian nuclear capabilities. Those were the targets. That's what was struck. That's what was overwhelming. That's what was overwhelming. That's what the Iranian regime needs to understand, as the president put out last night. He wants peace. There needs to be a negotiated settlement here. We ultimately demonstrated that Iran cannot have a nuclear capability. That is a very clear mission set on this operation. Yes, hold on. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Question for the Secretary and the Chairman. How was this strike coordinated with the Israelis on a strategic level, militarily, and on a tactical level? Was there any direct Israeli military participation in this operation?
Well, I would say certainly Israel had an incredible military success, especially at the beginning and ongoing, in degrading Iranian capabilities, in degrading Iranian launchers, MRBMs. It's been incredible to watch what our ally Israel has been able to do. And there certainly have been conversations. I mean, General Kurilla at CENTCOM has worked closely in the defense of Israel for many years. And part of this operation was the defense of Israel and the ongoing defense of Israel. But as it pertains to this strike, this was U.S. operated and U.S. led.
We took advantage of some of the preparatory work that's been done over the past week and a half in terms of axis of approach. I won't get into the particulars, but as the Secretary said, it was a U.S. strike. We made sure we were not in the same piece of airspace and sky. Aside from that, that was the extent of it.
We'll take a couple more. Yeah, right there.
Question to the Secretary first. Are you concerned whatsoever now about the reaction from U.S. allies given the strike, particularly those in the Gulf? And to the Chairman, if I may, I understand you don't want to speak to specific assets and force protection measures, but do you anticipate at least having to bring in any further assets from other theaters to aid in force protection over the coming days?
We certainly understand the challenges of allies in the region, and we have been respectful and in working in collaboration with them as it pertains to basing and sensitivities there. Ultimately, they've got a lot of assets and people in those locations also where American troops are co-located. So that's a consideration of ours. We've been in close consultation with them, and we appreciate the support that we have got.
Thanks for the question on sort of the global picture. And as you know, that's one of my jobs, is to look globally at the entire range of challenges. We are always carefully considering our force posture around the world and then offering options to the Secretary and to the President. I won't comment on any future things, but the American people should know that we carefully consider those moves around the world and try to modulate as needed our force structure in the region.
Absolutely. Yeah, right here.
Thank you. What communications are being sent to the Iranians right now, and is there any possibility of diplomacy now or in the coming days?
I can only confirm that there are both public and private messages being directly delivered to the Iranians in multiple channels, giving them every opportunity to come to the table. They understand precisely what the American position is, precisely what steps they can take to allow for peace, and we hope they do so. Yes.
The president may not want an open-ended conflict. The Iranians may disagree. Are you prepared for a protracted war?
Well, anything can happen in conflict. We acknowledge that. But the scope of this was intentionally limited. That's the message that we're sending. With the capabilities of the American military, nearly unlimited. So Iran, in that sense, has a choice. But we've made it very clear to them, this is nuclear sites, this is nuclear capabilities, this is the line that the president set, and we set that back. Now is the time to come forward for peace, but I think one of the takeaways from this as well is the unprecedented level of ongoing cooperation. I can't speak highly enough of the chairman and his staff and General Kurilla in CENTCOM, what they've done to look around the corner, to pre-position, to understand how an operation like this comes together. The scope and scale of what occurred last night would take the breath away of almost any American if you had an opportunity to watch it in real time. And I think Tehran is certainly calculating the reality that planes flew from the middle of America in Missouri overnight, completely undetected over 3 of their most highly sensitive sites, and we were able to destroy nuclear capabilities. And our boys in those bombers are on their way home right now. We believe that'll have a clear psychological impact on how they view the future, and we certainly hope they take the path of negotiated peace. But I could not be more proud of how this building operated, of the precision, the sensitivity, and the professionalism of the troops involved in this effort. I will take one more. We'll take one more question. Yes, right there.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their threat assessment, concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003, unquote. So what new intelligence does the U.S. have since then that the Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons? And does this new intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
Well, I would just simply say that the president's made it very clear. He's looked at all of this, all of the intelligence, all of the information, and come to the conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat, and was willing to take this precision operation to neutralize that threat in order to advance American national interests, reduce the Iranian nuclear program, and obviously collective self-defense of ourselves and our allies. So he looked at all of it, understood the nature of the threat, and took bold action I think the American people would expect in a commander-in-chief. That's all we've got. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
There was a press briefing. There it was.
The WC-135's up to check for radioactive material in the atmosphere.
Yeah, radioactive material. Is there any? Okay, so, well, we got a lot of information, not from Pete Hegseth. They got a lot of butt kissing. But I already got a write-up posted. I took notes and then got a write-up put together. So Pete Hegseth confirmed that the U.S. military launched major overnight operation in Iran, targeting Iran's underground nuclear infrastructure. The coordinated strikes hit 3 sites, which was Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. The attack was carried out using a small group of B-2 Spirit stealth bombers and submarine-launched Tomahawk cruise missiles. According to Pete Hegseth, the mission was a tremendous success, with all primary targets sustaining severe damage or destruction. The operation began at 2:10 a.m. Eastern, with 2 or 3 B-2 bombers dropping GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, MOPs, 30,000, which are 30,000-pound bunker busters. That's the bunker buster bombs, on the Fordow enrichment site, which is buried deep beneath a mountain. Later at 6:40 p.m. and between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern, U.S. guided missile submarines launched approximately 30 Tomahawk missiles at Natanz and Isfahan, further crippling Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Notably, Iran's air defense systems did not detect the incoming aircraft. No U.S. assets were lost in the operation. So Iran's air defense seemingly didn't work at all. The strike was supported by assets across multiple domains, including U.S. Strategic Command, Transportation Command, European Command, and the Space Force, as well as one more, but I didn't catch that one. Fuel tankers, electronic warfare support, 4th and 5th generation fighters, and intelligence aircraft all played roles in what is now considered the second longest B-2 mission in U.S. history and the most extensive strike mission of its kind. U.S. forces remain on high alert in anticipation of any retaliatory actions from Iran, again likely at U.S. bases where we get U.S. military personnel. Preliminary battle damage assessments confirm that all 3 sites were heavily damaged, with no radiation leaks reported, according to the Pentagon. Okay, we don't have independent BDA or any images of that yet. So again, this is all based on what Pete Hegseth and the Pentagon just put out. While the total number of aircraft used remains unclear, the Pentagon emphasized that the strike was highly targeted, surgically executed, and intended to send a clear message that the U.S. is prepared to act decisively to stop nuclear proliferation. Okay, and that is what was put out today in that press briefing. Not a whole lot further, and then there's a whole lot of Pete Hegseth saying Donald Trump is the best and the greatest, but I didn't really take notes on that because that's just kind of what they do every day. It wasn't until the the commander started talking and giving us some more details. But again, I did post it on X. We can look at, we got a timeline. Operation Midnight Hammer. So you can see it here, June 21st at 0001. B-2s depart Whiteman Air Force Base. Dozens of tankers at multiple aerial refuel points. And then you got B-2s support package in CENTCOM. It was Space Force and Aerospace Force. Okay, I missed that other one. I got the Space Force down, though. B-2s joint support package in CENTCOM, which was at 1700 Eastern Time, Saturday, 21st of June. 21st of June, 1700 Eastern Time, Saturday. Maritime launch at at 1800 Eastern Time, the 21st of June, Saturday. Bombers and support package enter Iran at 21st June from 1840 to 1900 Eastern Time, Saturday. You got time on target, so that's when the bombers hit their targets along with the Tomahawk cruise missiles from the submarines. Bombers exit Iran. The guy's head is covering that. Maybe we'll get a cleaner image at the specific time there. And then again, that's when the dozens of tankers at multiple aerial refuel points. And then the bombers return Whiteman Air Force Base at 22 June, Sunday, with no time given. All right. Operation Midnight Hammer is what it was called. So the war is over. We got to see how Iran's going to respond. They attacked Tel Aviv last night, which we got the Tel Aviv feed, and the air defense was going off. But in terms of any strikes on U.S. military bases and any response from Iran, we'll see what happens. Okay, we'll see what happens. When will Congress have its say on the special military operation? I'm not sure. We got to see Ro Khanna and if Thomas Massey's legislation gets put through. General Kane says battle damage assessment of the operation will take some time, but all munitions struck where they were desired. So all the targets were hit that they wanted to. VP Vance, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. Fresh set of images via Maxar show at least 6 munition entry holes and craters on the top of a ridge right above the underground complex at Fordow as a result of U.S. airstrikes. I'm sharing that. Got some new Maxar satellite technology. Didn't AOC said she was going to impeach? I mean, she can put up some legislation. She can try. We can't do anything right now with a Republican-controlled House. You know, the Democrats would have to win the House in the midterms. If that would even be possible. The way it's going, it's looking that way. Dylan Burns, former Russian president and Putin insider Dmitry Medvedev, seemingly suggesting that Russia could sponsor the Iranian nuclear program. What have Americans accomplished with their nighttime strikes on 3 nuclear sites in Iran? Critical infrastructure at the nuclear fuel cycle appears to have been unaffected or sustained only minor damage. The enrichment of nuclear material, and now we can say it outright, the future production of nuclear weapons will continue. A number of countries are ready to directly supply Iran with their own nuclear warheads. That would be spicy. Medvedev just drinks a fifth of vodka and just tweets, though, so it's like you can read what he says, but at the same time he's likely in half a bottle of some Hegseth. Hegseth just spent 10 minutes on his knees publicly worshipping Trump. Yeah. Didn't really learn like a whole lot of like whether or not it's going to be like a prolonged war. Didn't really give you guys anything concrete on that. The first image of Fordow has been released. I'll retweet that too. It was posted a couple hours ago. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Of course, of course. Appreciate that. All right, so we got some images and photos shared to the Twitter from the operation. Post-strike images of the Fordow enrichment facility in Iran, dated 22 June. And I'll kind of just leave that photo up there for a bit. Good morning. How was everybody's night? How's your Sunday going? Wow, good morning, good morning. Just finished a press conference with Pete Hegseth. I took notes and tried to write it up as best as possible from what was said in the briefing and posted it across platforms. My Discord. 12 mops. 12 bunker busters. And they had more. Biggest B-2 bomber operation in scale and also the longest distance one, according to the Pentagon. What are we looking at here? Aftermath of Iran strike in Tel Aviv. Okay, so this was the strikes last night. Aftermath. Iran had successful strikes. Just live right now. I thought it was 14. Yeah. Because I looked at it and said 14, but then they had 7 B-2s and it was 14 MOPS used. Yeah, 14. Yep. I even read that. Yep. The reporting, no, it was the reporting that had guessed it would be like 5 or 6 MOPS, but it was 14. 7 B-2s, 14 MOPS. So again, there was a successful strike on Tel Aviv late last night. MOB stands for Massive Ordnance Penetrators, the Bunker Busters, 30K GBU 57s, 30,000 pound GBU 57s, MOPS, Bunker Buster. You've been watching the coverage for the past week. Me and other intelligent chatters had kind of guessed that this would be what the response would be if there was one. First, we were questioning whether or not the U.S. would even join, and then if they joined, what would be the scope of it. And this is, well, not the full details, right, and how many B-2s were used and the amount of MOPS, but this was the guess that there would be precision strikes on their uranium enrichment sites using the bunker busters because Israel does not have those. So if the U.S. was involved, they would be striking those targets with the capabilities that we have and Israel does not have. Sunday Coffee and Merck. Appreciate that. Big Sunday Coffee. I haven't gone to bed yet. We're up still. See how long this feed lasts. Keep that up. Operation Midnight Hammer. Warriors. So you can see a couple of the sites here. Let me highlight it for you. Pretty precise. Hello, Maria. Good morning. You should go to bed too? Oh, you haven't gone to bed either, huh? Just up. It'd be like that right now during these times. If you got a good night's sleep, I'm glad you did. I'll get a good night's sleep soon. Where is where is this JD Vance posting? I don't know where they get these quotes from. Just saying things. U.S. does not want regime change in Iran. Iran just announced something about retribution. I look tired. A little baked, too. Where do they post that? To which Iran? The Ayatollah or... The news has been reporting about all the drone strikes. USA said that's cute. Hold my beer, hammer time. Well, Ayatollah didn't post. Which Iran account posted? Iranian president is speaking live. Where? The president of Iran is speaking live? Where? On what channel? He was speaking live. The Iranian foreign minister was speaking earlier. Chris Norland, Korean reporter. What? I think you spoke out the... I want to say you had the foreign minister speaking hours ago. Crude oil early trading futures opens in just over 9 hours, huh? Thank you for your service, of course. Thank you for your support. Happy I found your stream, of course, Kelly. I'm not sure where to look for the Iranian president here. Yeah, no. Yeah, it was like earlier. There was earlier today. The foreign minister was speaking, but nothing else. Appreciate all the support this morning, you guys. Check into the stream. How bad does it have to get in the U.S. before you leave the country? Like, when do you draw the line? Death? These callers don't run. Whatever. Eagle noises. Islam is not... I don't know the background on that. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about the Iranian president speaking right now. It'll be too late at that point. I guess that's what it is, I guess, then. I'm not about to go start a new life in another country. You kidding me? Do you believe Iran is 2 weeks away from a nuclear weapon? No. I don't know, maybe it'd be different if I had a family. Or had my own family to look after, but not right now. Could Iran have detected the B-2s if Israel didn't take out all of Iran's air defense radars? Potentially. Potentially. That's likely what a lot of the sites that Israel was striking. You come a long way from using a garden hose to put out fires to save a church in Kenosha, man. Congrats. Thank you, David. Good memory. Good morning. I saw a barely sourced article that mentioned the nuclear material and personnel had moved to the facilities. Yes. Loosely sourced. I guess we'll see, right? We gotta wait now for Iran's response. If Iran shows up, they're likely going to show up into one of their other facilities and just say, "Hey, look, this is Fordow or whatever. No damage, or something." I can see that. We already have the satellite imagery showing something. It shows something. We need more than this, though. Sorry, we need more than just the satellite images too, because they can be deceptive a little bit sometimes too. You shared the Al Jazeera report on Discord? Where? Not in the Israel war section. Try to share things into the right section if you could. It would help me out. It would help me out significantly. Good morning, Twitch. Do you think we did the right thing? If it gets us involved in a prolonged war, no. Which this thing usually does. So, how we know? I guess we got to see how Iran's going to respond and what's going to happen. And I guess we'll find out. But history tells us now. Pretty quick. Not that long ago. You could all have a bad ripple effect. U.S. is sending public and private messages to Iran. Yeah, we heard that in the press briefing. U.S. is making multiple efforts to communicate with the Iranian officials following the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear sites as President Trump and his top lieutenants call on the country to negotiate a diplomatic path forward. I can only confirm that there are both public and private messages being directly delivered to the Iranians and multiple channels, giving them every opportunity to come to the table. As we heard in the Pentagon press briefing, got the timeline. Again, here's the timeline one more time in case you haven't heard it or you're just waking up. Good morning. So we got the timeline for what it was called Operation Midnight Hammer. U.S. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Kane, offered a timeline of the U.S. strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities, an effort codenamed Operation Midnight Hammer. The operation began overnight Friday into Saturday morning, Kane said at the Pentagon news conference. As B-2 bombers launched from the U.S., some headed west as a decoy, while the rest proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications throughout the 18-hour flight. Around 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Kane said a U.S. submarine launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at the Isfahan nuclear site in Iran. As the B-2s entered Iranian airspace, the U.S. employed several deception tactics, including decoys. 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front, which again looks like this. Got a high-speed diagram. Took a picture as fast as I could. I'm waiting for the press to release a better picture because they were in there taking pictures, and I took a picture of my computer screen. So we'll get a higher quality one hopefully soon. But that's what this looks like. This formation here. These are the 4th and 5th generation fighters that were leading the B-2s, and these are the B-2s. So 4th and 5th generation aircraft pushed out in front of the strike package at high altitude and high speed, sweeping in front of the package for enemy fighters and surface-to-air missile threats. He added that upon approach to the Natanz and Fordow facilities, the U.S. employed high-speed suppression weapons with fighter aircraft to ensure passage of the B-2 bombers. Getting around 6:40 p.m. Eastern, the B-2 bomber launched 2 massive bunker buster bombs at Fordow nuclear site, Kane said, and the remaining bombers then hit their targets. Those additional targets were struck, Kane said, between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern. That places the timing of these attacks around 2:10 a.m. local time in Iran on Sunday. In total, Kane said, 16 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators were dropped, 2 from the lead B-2 on Fordow. Oh, so 16 total then. 2 from the lead B-2 and then 14 from the remaining bombers against the other 2 sites. Flight back to the U.S., the U.S. military then began its return home. No shots were fired by Iran on the way out. No death on the U.S. side. Unclear what the BDA overall or loss of life in Iran side in their facilities or what that would even entail. U.S. deployed bombers over the Pacific as a decoy during Iran operation. The U.S. military operation in Iran on Saturday, codenamed Operation Midnight Hammer, involved more than 125 aircraft in a deception operation that saw bombers deployed over the Pacific as a decoy. The unprecedented operation involved 7 stealth B-2 bombers, as we read. Bombers dropped more than a dozen 30,000-pound MOPs, massive ordnance penetrator bombs, that's the bunker busters, as I've read to you, at Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. And then Tomahawks were launched at Isfahan as well. Tomahawks came from the from the submarines that we have. Decoys were used. We're also looking at live images in Tel Aviv of strikes from Iran last night. What do you guys think of it all right now, as it's all kind of unfolding this morning and last night? What do you guys all think? Isfahan. Iran is going to make America understand what real war is. Are you sure? I don't know. Try to find some resiliency out of this. Pete Hegseth did leak the plans in a group chat. At least as of now, no U.S. soldiers, no deaths there. No botched operation from leaked plans, potentially. That could have been bad. Imagine if Pete Hegseth leaked these plans. Right, yet. Exactly. This is just the start. Okay? This is just the beginning. You think this is the end, and it's not the end. There's still other nuclear sites. I showed up a graphic yesterday of them all. Think we're going to stop there? There's all of them. This one, and this one. These were the sites that were hit. That leaves here's all the other nuclear sites. Just so you guys can see them a little easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more. They have 9 more. I have a feeling that this isn't the last of U.S. strikes. What do you guys think? Yep, there's more. So when you're seeing like propagandists on social media say, "Oh, Iran's nuclear capabilities is gone now," it's like, number one, is it? Is even the sites we've hit like? There were reports that Iran moved a lot of their capabilities out of Fordow and their other nuclear sites before these strikes even came, because we were telegraphed everything. It was for sure we were going to strike something. Something was going to happen, and we knew this for days. Just didn't know what and to what scale or exactly when, but for sure something was happening. We were moving the ships, and just everything was indicating that the U.S. was going to get involved somehow. Most likely airstrikes, which is exactly what happened in the bombing of their base, of their enrichment sites. Who knows where they store the enriched uranium? That's all based on our intelligence, right? Based on U.S. intelligence here and others. Former and possibly unknown, and probably even more. Who knows? They probably have more. But if they moved all of their capabilities, then they're just somewhere else, right? And then did those strikes even do anything? And then you're probably gonna rally Iran's allies. It's just these strikes, you can't say these strikes weren't a successful thing in the terms of the scope of what the military wanted to do. Again, it could have been a lot worse. Could have had Pete Hegseth leak these plans, or just result in the pilots getting shot down because it was poorly planned. It's just, it's not even that, which people are going to run with that, and that can be true. Like, it was a successful operation, I guess. The issue that people are going to have is if these actions now, one, it doesn't do anything for the United States. It doesn't do anything for us. This is all for Israel. Okay? This is all to help Israel, so that's a big problem. Two, this could likely, as history has shown us, drag us into a prolonged conflict. It's never just quick, never just a quick thing. And that's what people are concerned about, actually, right? I think if there will be a successful strikes, and that's going to happen, it's whether or not we're going to be pulled into a prolonged war, and then we're going to have soldiers go and fight and die in the Middle East for 20-some plus years again. For what? Honestly. You Democrats are dumber than I thought. There are definitely 1,000% conservatives in this chat right now that are against this, too. Don't be cringe. That's anti-Semitic. It's anti-Semitic to say I don't want to go to war for Israel. I guess that's it. I guess it is. I guess. Israel can do their own territorial expansions, clearly, and strike whoever they want, without anyone really holding them accountable, from what we've seen. We got the alarms going off in the building. This is live in Tel Aviv here. Is this move ultimately good or bad for Ukraine? I don't think it does anything for Ukraine, good or bad. I'm being so serious. It's not like we're striking their Sahid drone factories. Iran's an ally of Russia, but like I don't think it's gonna do anything. If anything, it'll be bad for Ukraine because more weapons we'll use them. We've already stopped sending weapons packages that are at any significance at all. You think it will at least influence the allocation of drones towards more domestic purposes in Iran? I mean, we got to see what Iran's going to fight with. We've only seen Iran's proxies, and their proxies, yes, they use drones, but we haven't. Iran has like a military, Iran has more than just like Hezbollah and Hamas, right? They have like a full military, and it's not small. Obviously, the air defense doesn't work though, so we know that now. Air defense, what is that doing? But it'll be kind of a nightmare. It might be, because you're gonna have the proxies fighting, obviously, and they're gonna be using guerrilla tactics, and then you'll have the actually Iranian military, IRGC, and we'll see how that looks like. If they fight Soviet tactics, or what that would even look like. Yeah, we have near 900,000 troops. Iran not having nuclear capabilities is good for the world. Russia has nuclear capabilities, and they're actively invading sovereign countries. Russia has nuclear weapons, and they're actively invading European countries and also destabilizing Western countries and influencing elections and meddling in them.
Weil da hatte ich ein Foto gezeigt von so einem Haus, was halt für die Stelle ist. Nicht so.
We're watching live images in Tel Aviv, though, guys. We're waiting for some further to come in today. More takes as people are waking up this morning. This use of the big preemptive strike by Trump is straight out of the Bush doctrine. Yeah. Shock and awe. Quick strikes, precision strikes. Again, we'll see how Iran responds. Shout out to Mercado Media for being one of the only streams up right now covering this. We got the Tel Aviv skyline. We have that, but then we have the aftermath of strikes in Tel Aviv as well. Oh, this guy called it predictive history. Are you going to cover the alleged White House Russian spy Sergio Gore, who refused to return to it? I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard about it. Probably not, because anything with a Russian conviction here, nothing is going to happen with Trump as president. Go to Preston here. Preston's on top of the Telegram channels. Yeah, you almost wish that Kane was the Secretary of Defense or someone else. He was the only one that actually gave something solid, other than Donald Trump is the best and he's the greatest, and without him we'd fail. Nonsense in a time like this. Raising Cain. To our warfighters and American taxpayers, this is what we did this week. Start a war. Congratulations. You've won a new war. You wanted cheaper groceries and eggs. Psych. Psych. Modi posted at 4:40 in the morning. Spoke with President of Iran. We discussed in detail about the current situation, expressed deep concern at the recent escalations, reiterated our call for immediate de-escalation, dialogue and diplomacy as the way forward for early restoration of regional peace, security, and stability. He hasn't posted at all. One week from now. Oh, Jesus. Battlefield 3. Mission was sick. Oh, I can't see the timeline. Well, that's zoomed in, but the timeline's at the bottom. What's the last thing Tulsi said, if you don't mind checking? Tulsi Gabbard? Just reposting Trump. Maybe she's on her other account. She's kind of out right now. Now she reposted Trump's strikes on the nuclear sites in Iran. She wasn't in the Situation Room pictures from yesterday. Nazi Barbie. The United States military is the best and most lethal fighting force in the world. Iran's parliament approves plan to close the Strait of Hormuz, pending final approval from security authorities. This won't end well for him. Says open source intel. Do we have another one on that? Can I get another source? What would happen? What would that look like if that Meretz continues to sail through Strait of Hormuz? They didn't answer any questions about nuclear fallout or RADs. That was the last question as Pete Hegseth was leaving the press conference. Vessels continue to sail through the Strait of Hormuz, but the company was ready to reevaluate this based on available information. Do you think that's going to get closed? So, if this gets closed... So, I believe this is going to have an effect on gas prices big time. Could be wrong. Could be a different... I'm also been up all night, so I'm trying. Geopolitics brain's not working at 100% right now. But I believe if this one closes, we're going to have gas prices like stupid. Something very stupid. What's going to happen then? Because that's when people will... We had, bro, I remember when I was a kid and gas prices when the heat of Iraq and the gas prices were going up, they were like gas stations closing. People are looking for gas stations to go to find cheaper ones. China will get involved if Hormuz gets closed. So, you guys think that will happen? We'll see. Meretz says they're still able to travel through. So, I don't know if I can confirm this. X posts or X posts for me. That's why I need like 3 other sources to be like, yeah, for sure. A lot of people just post whatever they want on here. Damn. Damn, Thomas Massey's going right at him. So, Speaker Johnson said the president made the right call and did what he needed to do. Leaders in Congress were aware of the urgency of the situation, and the commander-in-chief evaluated that the imminent danger outweighed the time it would take Congress to act. That's cope. The world's largest state sponsor of terrorism, which chants death to America, simply could not be allowed the opportunity to obtain and use nuclear weapons. The president fully respects the Article 1 power of Congress, and tonight's necessary, limited, and targeted strike follows to the history and tradition of similar military actions under presidents of both parties. Okay, so Thomas Massey goes, why didn't you call us back from vacation to vote on military action if there was serious threat to our country? Dang, Thomas Massey. He ain't with it at all. You know, he might be MAGA as hell, but at least he's not, he's not being a cuck right now. You gotta give it credit when it's due sometimes. Especially these days. What the heck? Ain't gonna last long in MAGA, but I don't know, maybe he will. I don't know, probably not though. Can't go against Trump. This is something that you think like MAGA would love. Like, oh wow, someone going against the grain. Being an independent thinker. Oh. I like it. I'm about it. I'm not into Massey's politics, obviously, but if he's not going to be if he's actually going to stay true to at least what he campaigned on. Thomas Massey is also not AIPAC supported. Makes a little more sense then. But yeah, when you don't have the money coming in, I guess you're not held to Ted Cruz standards, I guess. Oh, I saw a crazy tweet really quick, you guys. This was like while this was going down days ago. I don't know if I have it. Yeah. Look at this. This is Representative Randy Fine. This guy from Florida's 6th district. He wrote this in September of last year. There is a reason the first time I shook Netanyahu's hand, I did not wash it until I could touch the heads of my children. That type of shit. That is wild. Very cool and normal. Thank you, Randy. You're an odd guy, Randy. Stay away from schools. Help. Totally normal posts. Iran's parliament approves closing or much straight. What the heck? I'm waiting for another one. I'm waiting for another source on that. Iran has threatened it, and Twitter's posting. Twitter's doing posts. We only got a Reuters article about Maersk that says it's open still. Let's keep this up for a little bit. I'll get you guys some more information. How are you guys doing today, though? Check into the stream if you could. Who the hell is this Newswire? It's sponsored by Polymarket. Elon stuff. Just Elon stuff now. I have to fact check like every single update. They get the obvious. It's like a grift. Like you can get the obvious stuff correct when it's obvious, but then you fill in between the obvious stuff with random, sometimes not even true things. And I'm not saying that place does it. I'm not saying that, but you can find that often on Twitter. So I gotta I gotta fact check everything now. Multiple layers of fact check. Lots of misinformation out here, guys. Join my Discord, join our communities to help fight against it. A lot of garbage out here. Like garbage. Where do you have these satellite images of the Iranians? We have posts and news reports of the Iranians moving their nuclear equipment and capabilities out. They said they did. I don't know if we have satellite imagery of that. If and just to speculate, would it be a good move if Iran blockaded the strait? I'd have to do a little more research on it. I don't think it would be good for the cost of oil. And that would affect more than just like the U.S. I don't know if China would be okay with that. My geopolitics brain is not at 100%. I haven't slept, so I'm working. Do the best we can. You should do this every Sunday morning, current events and coffee. I'm usually not awake until 11, 12. I'm sleeping right now usually. Yeah, you gotta get some sleep. Russians already posted sad pics of Iran. I stopped reading at Russians posted. Go get some Java, some coffee, huh? Some coffee, huh? So Nazi Barbie's up. Secretary Hegseth perfectly articulates the magnitude of last night's operation. So if you missed it, we can go through a couple clips. We don't need to rewatch the whole thing. You can go back and watch it on stream here. Covered it from start to finish. Took notes, posted it. What's that now? The IDF telling him to stop filming. We got live images in Tel Aviv. We got a couple of live cameras up. Got the skyline. Zophar red. Oops. Yeah, get that up. Now we'll hear if strikes come through. Now we don't need to keep going back to the skyline and check it.
Iran and North Korea are cooperating on nuclear and missile development. Do you think there is a possibility that Iran, North Korea, and the other forces, such as China, will join forces to retaliate against the United States?
Well, unfortunately, because of the policies under the previous administration, we drove those countries together. And ultimately, that creates a challenging environment. For this particular operation, the focus is on Iran and Iranian nuclear capabilities. That's our focus here, is to not just say that they can't have, but President Trump has said from over 20 years, frankly.
So we're blaming Biden that Iran and North Korea and China, or like these Eastern countries, are allied, like they always have been, or are the same. Biden did it. Just the clips. We're not going to rewatch the whole thing.
There.
If you missed the press conference this morning.
Mr. Secretary, concerning the justification for these strikes, in March, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence released their threat assessment, concluding, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear
What up,
weapon.
Armchair Ninja? Good to have you over there.
He has not authorized the nuclear programs he suspended in 2003, unquote. So what new intelligence does the U.S. have since then that the Iranians have changed their position on nuclear weapons? And does this new intelligence come from U.S. sources and methods, or are we getting this information from other countries?
Well, I would just simply say that the president's made it very clear. He's looked at all of this, all of the intelligence, all of the information, and come to the conclusion that the Iranian nuclear program is a threat, and was willing to take this precision operation to neutralize that threat in order to advance American national interests, reduce the Iranian nuclear program, and obviously collective self-defense of ourselves and our allies. So he looked at all of it, understood the nature of the threat, and took bold action I think the American people would expect in a commander-in-chief.
So, just to give you an idea if you missed it earlier, that's what you missed. Good Iran military. See if we missed anything from here. Any protests today? Not that I know of. Yeah. Russia put out a statement crying about international law after the U.S. hit sovereign targets in Iran. Hit targets in sovereign Iran? Yeah, that's why, like, any Russian noises, just ignore. I don't even know why the Russians are speaking. Raise your hand if you're Russian before you speak. Okay, Norwegian Minister of Defense met with Ukrainian President Zelensky. What a time to be alive. The President of the United States doing battle damage assessment via sketchy. That's what I was... That open source intel account is not... I don't even know who... I don't even heard of that one. All the OSINT accounts on X I've seen over the past 3 years. Nightmare app, dude. Iran's parliament votes to close the Strait of Hormuz, a move that could disrupt 1 billion in daily oil shipments if approved by the National Security Council. If gas prices go up, what's going to be the cope? Oh, what's going to be the cope? It's going to be something. Well, don't travel. Well, don't go places. Oh, buy an electric vehicle now. You should get a Tesla. What's going to be the response? Biden. Biden caused the prices to go up. This is just a little pain before the gain, right? Temporary pain before the gain. Gotta go higher gas prices because Biden. I'm trying to understand what the cope is gonna be, but like, and now I know that this might happen. And I'm prepping because no one will, or there will be like maybe a few that'll say, wow, these policies are bad. I did the wrong thing. I'm an idiot. That'll be like literally not even a percentage of people. Most of them will just find a cope way. They will say the Democrats' fault. Why are the American people protesting? People have been. There's like 1,000 things to protest right now. U.S. concerned about cyber attacks by hackers connected to the Iran government, sources say, but they're downplaying the cyber threat, saying only low-level attacks are expected. That could include unsophisticated attempts such as DDoS attacks and ransomware. So that looks like I'm waiting for anything on that. People are posting that Iran closed it. I'm not seeing anything other than Twitter sources say that it was closed. Iranian, here you finally got one article. Iran's Supreme National Council must make the final decision whether to close the Strait of Hormuz. The decision to close the strait, which around 20% of global oil and gas demand flows, is not yet final. But lawmaker and Revolutionary Guards Commander Ismail Qasari told the Young Journalist Club on Sunday that doing so is on the agenda and will be done whenever necessary. Leave me alone. It's 8:20 in the morning, 30 in the morning. Wow. Your car is full? Well, I hope it'll be full for a year. What will happen when the gas prices go up? What do you guys think? It'll be blaming on everything but the cause, right? I think that's what we can expect, actually. $7 p.m. Eastern here in India. Well, what's the vibes in India right now? Pakistan? I focused on that. You saw Pakistan offered Trump the peace prize. Oh boy, I've never in my 37 years seen a worse president than Trump. Jeez. Worse than Nixon? Probably, huh? Paying more for gas will be a patriotic act. Oh boy. Just prepare for it. Prepare. Buy electric. Yep, we heard. Well, now's just a good time to go to electric. Gotta think about the environment, guys. They're gonna become environmentalists. Hey, it'll be good for the environment. We don't need oil. Hey, you don't need a vehicle. It's just a figment of your imagination. Just prepare. Please welcome Norway's Minister of Defense for visiting Ukraine. Okay, so you got more reporting coming out. It is reported the Parliament of Iran has approved a closure of the Strait of Hormuz. The final decision will allegedly be made by security authorities. It could be really bad. See, ripple effect. Consequences. You guys ever watch John Wick? You guys should watch John Wick. Great series. The whole every one. Honestly, the fourth one I've watched so many times now. Consequences. We're gonna put Trump stickers on all the gas pumps like MAGA did when the gas prices went up because Russia invaded Ukraine. And MAGA didn't take 2 seconds to be like, oh, that's Russia did that. Now they blame Biden. Also, after the prices were up after COVID. Okay. Senator Adam Schiff has a take.
He says that they have been successful. Do you see any upside, any positive news for?
You predicted the U.S. strike. Everybody knew everyone did. Everyone knew the U.S. strike was going to happen. It was coming. That was paying attention. It was just what the scope and scale was going to be. That was really it.
The security of the world in learning of the success of these strikes?
First of all, Casey, I want to express my gratitude that the pilots are all out safely and acknowledge the skill, the bravery, and the professionalism of all the military forces that were engaged in this military operation. But it's not an operation that should have ever been authorized by the president in the absence of intelligence showing that Iran had made the decision to break out and build a bomb. The intelligence I've seen, and it's been limited, indicates that Iran had certainly enriched uranium but had not made the decision to build a bomb or pursue the mechanism of a bomb. And in the absence of that, this is not a strike that should have been ordered. In watching Hegseth...
Yeah, people are already calling it a special military operation, unironically. In my Facebook comments, too. This isn't a war, it's a special military operation. Americans are saying this. We're cooked.
During that press conference this morning, we saw a lot of arrogance from the defense secretary. And as wars in the Middle East have demonstrated, arrogance is a deadly commodity. We simply don't know what is going to occur now, whether Iran will retaliate, whether Iran was able to evacuate some of the enriched material from Fordow. There were commercial satellite images of trucks lined up at Fordow and leaving Fordow in the days preceding the strike. So a lot of questions, including the risk to American service members. In terms of is...
You watch the rest of CNN for that clip then? There it is, a photo surfaced of Trump this weekend wearing his golf clothes at Bedminster after military personnel are being deployed to the Middle East to bomb Iran. So Trump's golfing on his golf course. Here's some more on that.
In terms of, is there anything positive to come out of it? Yes. I mean, the destruction of these facilities is a positive in the sense that it will set back Iran's program. And look, this is a nefarious regime that is the preeminent state sponsor of terror. It should have never been pursuing a nuclear program. But it is very possible, and I think we have to anticipate, Iran now kicks out any inspectors, it leaves the Non-Proliferation Treaty, and if it wasn't in a sprint for a bomb, it is now going to engage in a sprint for the bomb. So a lot of uncertainty. Finally, this was not constitutional, was not lawful in the absence of a declaration by Congress. And so the administration should have come to Congress. We will have a vote on a war powers resolution. But there's a reason to bring this to Congress, and it is you want the Congress bought in, you want the American people bought in on an action this substantial that could lead to a major outbreak of war.
So that's what Adam Schiff had to say on CNN today. How can Iran close the Strait of Hormuz if they can't even control their own airspace? I guess we'll find out. If they do. Am I going to cover the protests today at noon? What protests today at noon? There's protests at noon? Where? Sure. I have to get some sleep eventually. We have protests in Minnesota today? You're talking about just nationwide protests planned? You had the same with Kamala. Kamala's never been the president. Kamala was the vice president. When you say you had the same with Kamala, it makes zero sense. There's nothing organized. People just need to march. There has been, but I'm not sure if there's anything yet planned for today. Unless I'm missing something. I do sleep. I sleep for a couple hours, posted on Blue Sky. You guys can follow me on there if you're not. Did you tag me in it? You say posted on Blue Sky. What is that? I don't know what that means. Okay. You have to tag me, I guess. I don't see what you see. Guys, I already served 10 years. You know, draft for me. DD-214. Uncle Sam can't touch me. I already did my time. Can't touch me. Did my time. Is Merc just getting up? No, I've been up. We're up. We're just up. We had the press conference. Now I'm just looking for further information. My notes have been posted based on what we learned in the press conference. Hello, Twitch. Good morning. Milwaukee's protesting nationwide against Trump's war, and there's no King's marches today. Milwaukee's protesting today. So I might have to get some more, a few hours sleep this morning. No sound. There's nothing really. I have the sound from Tel Aviv. Would you go back in to defend your country? No, I'd probably do it as a civilian. No, thank you. I'm not going back into that shit right now. Are you kidding me? With Pete Hegseth leading it and Trump? No. What up, Jose? Good to see you. How you doing? We got live in Tel Aviv, guys. Apparently we got protests getting ready to pop up. Got anti-war protest coverage today. Got some news on this Sunday for you guys. Man, do we have a great community over here on Mercado Media. You just got out. You're laying in your DD-214 blanket. Yeah, I got mine. Oh, you got John Bolton coming on. What is he usually is for all this? Let's see what he has to say about all this. He's usually like, let's do it. Let's do more. Oh, boy.
For being here. Were you surprised that President Trump took such decisive action?
Well, let me say this unequivocally. I think President Trump made the right decision.
Were you expecting anything else from John Bolton?
For America to attack Iran's nuclear weapons program. And I think we're on the verge of potentially seeing regime change in Iran as part of that. I think.
Yay. Wow. Yeah. Regime change and war. We're so good at that. God, are we so... God, man, when you think of things America's good at, it is absolutely Middle Eastern wars and regime change. Golly. Regime change to what? Something other than the Ayatollah that's further far right. Somehow.
This is a huge change in the Middle East. It was a decisive action. It was the right thing to do. I thought somebody should do it for.
And then the audacity to bring out the same people that kept us in Iraq and Afghanistan, bro. That kept going and doing the same shit. Holy cow. Bro, you can go back to Bolton in like the early 2000s saying the same things. What the heck? They got it's at Israel. It's gotta be Israel's money, man. That's coming in through the lobbying. It's just a lot, isn't it? Holy. No, I thought Bolton and Trump didn't like each other. Man, oh man. (2002) Iraq Boogaloo. Born just in time for another Middle Eastern war, guys. The Pentagon industry is also supported by the Iran-backed Shia fundamentalist group Hezbollah. Yeah. So we keep our Navy in the shipping lanes. Same with the UK. Yep. So when Trump is ending our soft power on the world, and we have like Pete Hegseth leaking signal chats before that. Luckily he didn't this time, but that's why that's all an issue. Trump took Bolton's Secret Service detail away. Exactly. That's what I thought. They didn't like each other, but Bolton's got to find a way back, I guess. Wild times. Regime change. Yay. Bolton never saw worried. Pete Hegseth didn't have his signal on or something. Democrat leaks. What the (10:30 a.m. at the CBS studio in DC. The War Powers resolution. That's the co-sponsored bill to try to give Congress the power to declare war and not Trump, which is how it's supposed to be. Let's do the thing we're supposed to do. Slotkin. I expect a full classified brief in the strikes in Iran. She wrote this 8 hours ago with the follow-up she just posted. I expect a full classified brief on the strikes in Iran and the strategy and force protection plans as soon as possible. In the meantime, tonight I'm focused on the safety of over the 40,000 U.S. forces in the Middle East and their loved ones back home. Concerned about retaliation, what comes next? Well, it's too early to know the results. A successful strike by our capable military wasn't the primary question. The real question is, what happens the day after? A strike can have major repercussions and for safety and stability across the region. As someone who served in Iraq and saw up close the loss of blood and treasure over 20 years, I do not want to be embroiled in another drawn-out conflict, and neither do the American people. This is exactly why our founders built a role for Congress in issues of war and peace, to ensure questions of real consequence are answered before American men and women are engaged in war. Exactly. The day after. The consequences, the ripple effect. It's never just, oh, the U.S. strikes and like starts a war and like, or does war and like no one responds. It doesn't happen. As someone who served in Iraq and saw up close the loss of blood and treasure for 20 years. Okay. Read my full statement. American security. Did JD Vance actually post? Some people are just so gone. It's not even, they're just gone. They're gone forever. So, Vice President JD Vance, 2 thoughts this morning. The operation last night is an incredible testament to American pilots and other service members, from General Kane and General Kurilla on down. While the media has attacked the president's senior team relentlessly and tried to sow fake division, last night would have been impossible without perfect coordination and discretion from the president's national security team. That's why we kept Tulsi Gabbard off it. That's why Tulsi wasn't there. Yeah, Tulsi. Okay, so this is JD Vance on Meet the Press. Okay, we'll have to watch it through clips, it seems, until we get the full segment.
But our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime change. We do not want to protract this or build this out any more than it's already been built out. We want to end their nuclear program, and then we want to talk to the Iranians.
Here's the full one.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said in March that, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. Democratic Senator Mark Warner, the vice chair of the Intelligence Committee, said he was briefed on Monday that, quote, the intelligence hasn't changed. So why launch this strike now? Has the intelligence changed, Mr. Vice President?
Mr. Vice
Well,
President,
a couple of
sir.
things about that, Kristen. So what Tulsi said back in March is that Iran was producing highly enriched uranium that was only consistent with them wanting to build a nuclear weapon. There's, of course, an open question about whether they were weeks away, whether they were months away, but they were way too close to a nuclear weapon for the comfort of the President of the United States, which is why he took this action. Now, there's another element here, too, Kristen, which is that we had a narrow window of opportunity. We might not have been able to carry out this attack 6 months down the road. And so when you recognize, on the one hand, the Iranians are trying to get a nuclear weapon, and on the other hand, we have a narrow window in which we can set that program back a very long time, it would have been irresponsible, I think, for the president not to take the action that he did, which is why Fordow was destroyed last night.
And just to be very clear, did the president say go based on U.S. intelligence or Israeli?
Just his vibes. Okay, the president, you know, he just thinks and he acts. he's just the best. He's the best person ever.
Intelligence.
Well, of course, we share intelligence with a lot of agencies, British, Israeli, and so forth, but it was our intelligence that motivated us to act. And I think on the intelligence, Kristen, the thing that I would really emphasize is the way in which the Iranians seem to be stonewalling us. That was not, by the way, our consensus back in March of this year. We saw the Iranians making some concessions.
You were doing nothing on that, and then Israel just attacks Tehran, and then now you're like forcing Iran into like you have to make deals now, immediately now, or more bombs will drop. When you like we're kicking the can down the road, and your negotiating is so dog shit, and it's so bad on everything. You haven't been able to negotiate peace or broker peace anywhere, not a single place. You got the Pakistan cope.
Year, we saw the
which on India's side, that is, there's nothing solved there. India is the conflict with Pakistan solved?
Iranians making some concessions. We thought the conversations were actually productive.
Yeah.
By mid-May, everybody in our intelligence community and the president's senior team looked at ourselves and said, the Iranians are not being serious. They're no longer making concessions. They're no longer actually responding to some of the offers that we're making. If you believe, as we did, that the Iranians are rushing towards a nuclear weapons program while simultaneously refusing to negotiate, how could we do anything but take serious action against this program?
Do you and President Trump trust the U.S. intelligence community and its assessments?
Oh, of course we trust our intelligence community, but we also trust our instincts, and most importantly, we trust what the intelligence was telling us about the Iranians stonewalling the negotiation. I think that is really the hidden story here, and something the media has got to report a little bit more here, is that the Iranians stopped negotiating in good faith. That was the real catalyst, I think, to what the president ultimately decided.
When did they stop negotiating in good faith? When Israel attacked them and then Iran responded? And then when Iran started sending ballistic missiles at Tel Aviv, that's...
decided to do. If we were having a productive negotiation, I think that this could have gone in a much different pathway. Unfortunately, the Iranians decided to stonewall us, and we saw the consequences of that last night.
We thank you for...
Wild. This was also posted.
My first question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And
alternative facts, guys. We're in a world where you call it something else, and and that's what it is. We're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program, guys. So cooked. So cooked. So it looks like AP was kicked out of the filming area. We had retaliatory strikes from Iran onto Tel Aviv last night. Air raid alarm was going off late last night. Wild. So that's the vice president. We're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear capabilities. Up is down. Oh my god, bro. Shut up, dude. Who is the infantry dork? Probably not. This is an AI. This is a bot. Bot detected. Beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. Yeah, we weren't attacked. Would you have acted this way after 9/11? 9/11, Americans were mad because we had a terrorist attack. And thousands of people died. And it was on TV and everyone watched. We saw it. America is not being attacked. We're being attacked from within, from our own president. We'll see what happens with the Strait of Hormuz being closed here. He is not old enough to remember 9/11. Who's not old enough? Who's not old enough? I was in. What do you mean? I was in second grade. Got sent home. Wheeled in the TV. TV was on the. Had wheels. It was on the. When the substitute teacher would roll in and you'd watch a Schoolhouse Rock or something, because the substitute teacher didn't feel like teaching. You're being attacked by Canada. Yeah, maybe on Arma or in your brain. Hey MJ, welcome to the channel. So that could be the next big development if this is all confirmed, or if this is for sure. If this gets closed, and then gas prices will skyrocket here soon. Okay, so we got some more. So JD Vance went on ABC. So they're doing a press tour today. Big press tour for not liking calling the fake news media fake news. They're sure going around the horn.
So let me ask you, what do you say to those, including some of the president's strongest supporters, who are really worried this morning that the United States is now involved in yet another protracted war, conflict, whatever you want to call it, in the Middle East?
Well, first of all, John, I think the president has been very clear that we are not interested in protracted conflicts in the Middle East, but there's a question about how do you achieve peace, and we believe the way that you achieve peace is through strength. We took a very narrow and limited approach to destroying the Iranian nuclear program, John. That's what the president did, and I think that, more than anything, is going to ensure peaceful resolution in that region of the world. You can't be weak. You can't sit there and allow the Iranians to achieve a nuclear weapon, John, and expect that's going to lead to peace. It would lead to absolutely disastrous military.
It's almost kind of like they're it's almost like, my bad, I didn't mean to click off of them. I'll let them finish, I guess.
Nuclear weapon, John, and expect that's going to lead to peace. It would lead to absolutely disastrous military conflict all over the Middle East. We don't want that. Our Gulf Arab nation allies don't want that. Israel doesn't want that. And it's one of the few issues, frankly, that unites the Arabians to the Israelis is none of them want the Iranians to get a nuclear weapon because they know that it would lead to the opposite of peace. And
1984 world. I really do feel like we're poking and prodding, and now we're bombing to actually draw. Like, this is just kind of like to see obviously what Iran's gonna do, but then what Iran does, that'll be like the cope, and the U.S. will say, "Oh God, look how bad it is," or whatever Iran's gonna do. We have to fight. Look what they did. Probably like some major U.S. base blown up and a bunch of soldiers killed. Wow, look, America. Look what Iran did. And then that's how they'll draw us in. This won't draw us in. What happened won't be enough. It'll, like, there still isn't enough propaganda to, like, support a U.S. military action in Iran yet. So they have to prep it. And that prep will probably happen based upon what Iran does. in response, because it'll be like the Israel strategy, where Israel will attack and then a response will happen and then Israel will claim victim. And I feel like that's what the United States will do. Oh, we have to now. That would be the worst. That's how, because it's such a populist distaste for a Middle Eastern war in the U.S. right now, like an overwhelming majority. You would have to break that. You'd have to break that significantly through media messaging and propaganda, and that could be exacerbated just how Israel does it by just playing what the response is as if that's the attack, right? Israel attacked Tehran, Tehran responded, and then Israel played it as if, oh God, look what Iran did to us. I couldn't believe it. Our hospitals. I have a feeling that's kind of like what the U.S. is going to do if that happens, right? We're speculating right now because we're all just kind of waiting to see what happens, but really we'll get more answers based on the BDA on how effective these strikes actually were, and then how Iran's going to respond, which right now we're seeing rumblings of closing the Strait of Hormuz. That could be significant. Yep, it's getting posted everywhere here, which will skyrocket gas prices. Can you replay the last clip? Damn it, you woke up late. How bad was the presser? We got a lot of information about it. I already posted it out from the notes that I have. So we got a lot of information about what it was and what weapons were used and the timeline, the name. So we got a lot of details, not from Pete Hegseth, but there it is, Operation Midnight Hammer. Tel Aviv stock market hit all new time highs today. Wow, good for Tel Aviv. Great. Good for them. Israel first, I guess. Operation Midnight Hammer. Hmm. Geography looks different, I guess, doesn't it? Got like a ridge line going through here. Looks different, doesn't it? Obviously, this is the before, so you're not going to have the strikes on the satellite imagery. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the topography. You got like a ridge line here. A clear ridge line. And then here, the ridge line is like over here and over here. You got a valley here. It looks kind of the same, I guess, if... Yeah, like this is a ridge line. This is just at a different angle. That much of a different angle. Oh boy. With this conflict, I immediately don't trust anything that comes out, so. Good morning, everybody. Happy Sunday. Good morning. Good morning. We had the press conference already. Waiting for more information to come in. Apparently, we got protests happening today. I do need to get some sleep eventually. How's the building still there then? Where's that? Hello, Johnny from Australia in the Discord. Good to have you. Everybody put a comment where you're watching from in the chat, where you're tuned in from if you haven't done so. Good morning, good morning. Well, also, you guys said there were protests today that you saw in Blue Sky, and I'm not seeing anything. Follow me on Blue Sky. There I am. Good morning, Super Vodka Chick. Hello, Vicky. It looks the same. The second is zoomed in more. Okay, I could just be tired. This kind of behavior is why countries pursue nuclear capability in the first place. You can't attack their sovereignty and expect nothing. Hello, South Minneapolis. Good morning. What up, Gray Man? Good morning. Good morning. Got a live feed in Tel Aviv. Gulf of Mexico, Florida. Texas, what up, Darlington, England? It's 9 a.m. Mercado Media. You might look around. It's early, but you never know. You might look for might hit the hay for an hour, but at least Eastern is about an hour away from now. True. Where are you guys seeing the protests planned? We got anti-war protests planned. Is this the full interview?
And joining me now is
Okay, we got the full interview, I suppose.
President J.D. Vance. Vice President Vance, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Perfect.
Thank you, Kristen. Great to be with you.
Thank you for being here on a monumental Sunday. My first question, Mr. Vice President, is the United States now at war with Iran?
Right, war with their nuclear facility.
No, Kristen, we're not at war with Iran. We're at war with Iran's nuclear program. And let me just say, Kristen, that we're incredibly grateful and proud of the American Air Force pilots who did an incredible job last night. The operation was really extraordinary. These guys flew from Missouri. They didn't land a single time. They dropped 30,000-pound bombs on a target the size of a washing machine and then got back home safely without ever landing in the Middle East or ever stopping other than to briefly refuel. And, of course, they did that in the air. So it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership.
Thank you, Amansky.
What we did is we destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. I think we set that program back substantially. We did it without endangering the lives of the American pilots. That's an incredible thing, and I think we all should be proud. Whatever our politics, we should be proud of what these guys accomplished. A very, very high-impact mission under a lot of pressure.
Mr. Vice President, let's talk about what happens next. President Trump posted on social media, quote, any retaliation by Iran will be met with force greater than what was witnessed tonight. If Iran retaliates against the U.S., as it is threatening, what will the United States response be?
Well, Kristen, that's ultimately going to be the president's decision. But what we've said to the Iranians is we do not want war with Iran. We actually want peace. But we want peace in the context of them not having a nuclear weapons program. And that's exactly what the president accomplished last night. I really think there are two big questions for the Iranians here. Are they going to attack American troops, or are they going to continue with their nuclear weapons program? And if they leave American troops out of it and they decide to give up their nuclear weapons program once and for all, then I think the president has been very clear. We can have a good relationship with the Iranians. We can have a peaceful situation in that region of the world.
I don't think so now. Why would they?
World. We have to step back a little bit, Kristen, and remind ourselves that we negotiated aggressively with the Iranians to try to find a peaceful settlement to this conflict. It was only when the president decided that the Iranians were not negotiating in good faith that he took this action. Yeah. He didn't take.
And also, why all the time for Russia? Why can Russia have forever and Iran, whatever the negotiations were? We never even really saw them. We heard stuff in March. I think that was the last reported attempts at peace with like Israel and Hamas negotiations that went nowhere.
it lightly, but I actually think it provides an opportunity to reset this relationship, reset these negotiations, and get us in a place where Iran can decide not to be a threat to its neighbors, not to be a threat to the United States. And if they're willing to do that, the United States is all ears.
Well, let's talk about the possibility of negotiations. I mean, the Iranian foreign minister responded to the strikes this morning, saying Israel and the U.S. have, quote, blown up diplomacy. Mr. Vice President, is there any real hope for diplomacy, or is diplomacy dead at this point?
Well, I think the foreign minister is exactly wrong. We didn't blow up diplomacy. We only took this action, Kristen, when it was clear, as the president said, that the Iranians were tapping us along. I think it's important for the American people to appreciate here that if you go back to March of this year, we had the entire administration engaged in this diplomatic effort. And frankly, in March of this year, we had some optimism. How do we get from there to now? And the answer is we felt very strongly that the Iranians were stonewalling us. They weren't taking this seriously. They were trying to draw this process out as long as possible so that they could rebuild their nuclear weapons program without the threat of American action. We had a limited window in which we could take out this Fordow nuclear facility in particular. The president decided to take it, but we didn't blow up the diplomacy. The diplomacy never was given a real chance by the Iranians.
By you. That's a projection, it seems, by the U.S.
Our hope, Kristen, as the president said repeatedly, is that this maybe can reset here. The Iranians have a choice. They can go down the path of peace, or they can go down the path of this ridiculous brinksmanship, of funding terrorism, of trying to build a nuclear weapon, and that's just not something the United States can accept. I want to say something, Kristen, just to the Iranian leadership. Look, they have tried to build a nuclear weapons program. That program is now destroyed. They tried to build a conventional missile program to attack neighbors in the region. That missile program has shown to be a failure. They have funded terrorism aggressively in the region, and now most of their terrorism proxies are destroyed. The Iranians are clearly not very good at war. Perhaps they should follow President Trump's lead and give peace a chance. If they're serious about it, I guarantee you the President of the United States is too.
So
Yeah, it almost is like all of their narratives they could be saying about Russia, they're saying about Iran.
The administration received any messages from the Iranians since the attack overnight?
Well, Kristen, I think as we sit here, it's been about 12 hours since what happened last night. We have received some indirect messages from the Iranians, and it's possible, of course, that some of my colleagues in the administration received something early this morning, and I haven't heard about it. But look, our expectation is we're going to learn a lot about what the Iranians want to do, how they want to proceed over the next 24 hours. Again, I just can't be clear enough here. The president has said he wants now to engage in a diplomatic process, but if the Iranians are not going to play ball here, they didn't leave us many options as it pertains to last night, and they won't leave us many options in the future.
If Iran does...
All cringe. Hey, hit the like button on the stream if you're against a Middle Eastern war and the U.S. joining the war. Hit the like button on the stream.
Disrupts shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, which of course handles about a quarter of the world's oil trade. Would that be a red line for the United States, Mr. Vice President?
Well, Kristen, I think our biggest red line is the Iranian nuclear weapons program. That is really what the president has said we need to get rid of.
But what about the Strait of Hormuz?
Steps towards doing that last night. Well, I think that would be suicidal, Kristen, for the Iranians themselves. I mean,
would it be?
Entire economy runs through the Strait of Hormuz. If they want to destroy their own economy and cause disruptions in the world, I think that would be their decision. But why would they do that? I don't think it makes any sense. I don't think that it makes sense for them or for anybody else. What would make sense is for them to come to the negotiating table, to actually give up their nuclear weapons program over the long term. And again, if they're willing to do that, they're going to find a willing partner in the United States of America.
Mr. Vice President, when did President Trump exactly make this decision, and did he coordinate with Israel?
The president, honestly, Kristen, I don't know that any of us knew exactly when the president made the decision, except for the president himself. But if you back up a little bit, we engage in this diplomatic process. I think that he decided probably by mid-May that this process was not going anywhere, and so he decided to issue some private ultimatums to the Iranians. And then eventually, of course, we decided to destroy the Fordow nuclear facility and some of these other facilities ourselves. I think one of the things that you saw from the president's team, and I really am proud of all of our guys at the senior team, is an operation of this magnitude, multiple B-2s, 14 30,000-pound bombs, and even an hour after the attack, the entire media, some of our enemies all over the world, they had no idea this was happening. And that's because you had a coherent team that was aligned behind the president's vision. There weren't any leaks. I think that made our troops safer as they carried out this mission. And so it's
Pete Hegseth.
It's really a testament to the entire team that we were able to do something like this at this scale without anybody noticing it.
But, Mr. Vice President, if I could just try again, can you give me a specific date when President Trump said go? Was it Thursday? Was it yesterday before the B-2s left? When exactly did President Trump give that green light, that go?
Well, the final decision, Kristen, of course, is made right before, and I'm talking about minutes before the bombs.
Minutes before? Like, yeah, go ahead, bomb them. Do it now.
Were dropped. And, of course, well, that was last night. And the president made very clear that the purpose here is to eliminate the Iranian nuclear.
The decision was made a while ago, guys. That's why the ships are moving. That's why we had to move that's why the ships were already on their way there. And the fuel tankers were already moving through. And it was all getting prepped. And everybody with internet access could see. Because it's on flight radar and in the maritime tracking. It's all there. It was all there.
Program.
So they can say that Trump is like he does it in the final hour, the final minutes, but the truth is they had this thing planned well in advance. Especially an operation like this, literally cannot happen at the drop of a hat. The amount of resources used, the amount of B-2s used, the Navy coordination. This is all an operation that is months in advance of planning, actually.
I think that
and Israel striking Tehran was part of it. You can call it Operation Rising Lion or whatever it is. The operation is the U.S. operation to help them, and this was all going to happen. This was always going to happen.
He himself, over time, decided this was necessary. But, of course, he had the ability to call off this attack until the very last minute. He obviously decided to proceed, and I think that we did great things for the American people because of it.
You know, the president says the nuclear enrichment sites were, quote, completely and totally obliterated. There is some question about that, though, this morning. Do you have 100% confidence that Iran's nuclear sites were totally destroyed?
Well, Kristen, I'm not going to get into sensitive intelligence about what we've seen on the ground there in Iran, but we've seen a lot, and I feel very confident that we have substantially delayed their development of a nuclear weapon, and that was
until we come out with some new propaganda that says Iran's weeks away. They're minutes away from a nuke. Remember when we hit Fordow and the other nuke sites? That was not the full strike. We got another one. If we don't, America won't have a country anymore.
Was the goal of this attack. That's
Gotta
why
attack
it was a success. And of course, what happens next, again, Kristen, is up to the Iranians.
Substantially delayed by years? What does substantial
Well, again, Kristen,
mean?
I'm not going to get into sensitive intelligence here, but
until they decide it's relevant to use the scare tactic again.
But I think that we have really pushed their program back by a very long
Iran has weapons of mass destruction, guys.
Long time. I think that it's going to be many, many years before the Iranians are able to develop a nuclear weapon. But again, our goal is that they're never able to develop a nuclear weapons program. And that is a conversation that we're going to have with the Iranians and also with our allies in the region.
So Iran, again, has said that it would retaliate if the U.S. got involved. There are some 40,000 American troops in the Middle East. The Pentagon is on high alert. Is the U.S. bracing for Iran to target American troops in the region?
We're, of course, Kristen, doing everything that we can to keep our people safe. I think that we're prepared in the event that the Iranians do retaliate. But my message to the Iranians...
Weapons of mass distraction, yeah. That's better.
Is it would be the stupidest thing in the world if they did. If you look at what happened last night, we had an incredibly targeted, precise, surgical strike on the nuclear facilities that are the target of the American operation.
This is a pro. We're pro Mercado. I don't give a fuck about all the streamers that do that. I do not care. I'm not in on that. I never will be. I don't care. I don't base my politics off of what other popular streamers do. That's cringe. That sucks.
Our national interest is for Iran to not get a nuclear weapon. Our strikes last night facilitated that national objective. If the Iranians want to enlarge this by attacking American troops, I think that would be a catastrophic mistake. And as the president said last night, the Iranians would be met with an overwhelming...
Someone on Twitch asked if this is a pro-Hassan chat, like as if we give a fuck about that at all.
If the Iranians want to enlarge this by attacking American troops, I think that would be a catastrophic mistake. And as the president said last night, the Iranians would be met with an overwhelming force beyond that. So this is a very delicate moment, Kristen. I don't want to pretend that it's not. But I think the Iranians, if they're smart, they're going to have to look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe we're not so good at this war thing. Let's give peace a chance. Let's drop our nuclear weapons program and start to make some smarter decisions. We're, of course, hoping that's exactly what the Iranians do.
And I have a number more questions, so I want to keep moving. How concerned is the administration that Iran or Iranian proxies could carry out a terrorist attack inside the United States?
Thank you, Amina, for the 200 stars.
Well, unfortunately, Kristen, we know that a lot of people who we don't have full accounting of were let in over the last 4 years under the Biden administration. We know that some of those people were on terrorism watch lists. We feel very confident in our FBI and law enforcement that we're on top of this situation. But yeah, we're looking at this very closely. We're doing everything that we can to keep our people safe. And this is one of the reasons why border security is national.
I really hope we don't have like repercussions internally from this. And Iran has like sleeper cell people in their country. That'll suck. But again, something that was brought upon ourselves if we continue to strike countries for Israel.
Security is if you let a bunch of crazy people into your country, those crazy people can eventually take action. We're going to do everything that we can to make sure that doesn't happen and to keep Americans safe.
Mr. Vice President, can you rule out that getting involved in this conflict won't eventually lead to U.S. boots on the ground?
Well, the president's been very clear, Kristen. We have no interest in a protracted conflict. We have no interest in boots on the ground. The president has actually been one of the fiercest critics of 25 years of failed foreign policy in the Middle East, which is why he did what he did. A very precise, a very surgical strike tailored to an American national interest. And that national interest is Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It would be a disaster for us and for our allies in the region. So I don't fear that this is going to become a protracted conflict because I think that we have a president who knows what's in America's interest and is willing to do the things necessary to accomplish that interest.
As you know, after an Iranian missile struck a hospital in Israel this week, Israel's defense minister said the Ayatollah, quote, can no longer be allowed to exist. Does the United States support?
But Israel can strike all the hospitals they want.
Israel killing Iran's leader.
Well, look, that's up to the Israelis, but our view has been very clear that we don't want a regime change. We do not want to protract this or build this out any more than it's already been built out. We want to end their nuclear program, and then we want to talk to the Iranians about a long-term settlement here. We believe very strongly that there are two pathways. There's a pathway where Iran continues to fund terrorism, continues to try to build a nuclear program, attacks American troops. That's the bad pathway.
Thank you, Sarah, for the
Iran,
100
and it will
stars.
be met with overwhelming force. There's another pathway on the table here. There's a pathway where Iran integrates itself into the international community, stops funding terrorism, and stops trying to pursue a nuclear weapon. This is a reset. This is an opportunity for the Iranians to take the smart path. We certainly hope that they will.
Couple more questions, and we're almost out of time.
Brophy in chat goes, this isn't a Democrat or Republican thing. This is neo-Nazis who want to kill all Jews and us helping save the Jewish people just like in World War II. Touch grass. You are disrespecting the Jews that were a part of the Holocaust by saying some dumb fuck statement like that. You are absolutely disrespecting the victims of the Holocaust by saying that, actually. Holy shit.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said in March that, quote, Iran is not building a nuclear weapon. Democratic Senator Mark Warner, the vice chair of the Intelligence Committee, said he was briefed on Monday that, quote, the intelligence hasn't changed. So why launch this strike now? Has the intelligence changed, Mr. Vice President?
Smoke grass. Iran says death to Israel and death to all Jews all the time. Yeah, and Israel bombs the fuck out of them. Okay.
Well, a couple of things about
Okay, does that hurt your feelings?
that, Kristen. So what Tulsi said back in March is that Iran was producing highly enriched uranium that was only consistent with them wanting to build a nuclear weapon. There's, of course, an open question about whether they were weeks away, whether they were months away, but they were way too close to a nuclear weapon for the comfort of the President of the United States, which is why he took this action. Now, there's another element here, too, Kristen, which is that we had a narrow window of opportunity. We might not have been able to carry out this attack 6 months down the road. And so when you recognize, on the one hand, the Iranians are trying to get a nuclear weapon, and on the other hand, we have a narrow window in which we can set that program back a very long time, it would have been irresponsible, I think, for the president not to take the action that he did, which is why Fordow was destroyed last night.
And just to be very clear, did the president say go based on U.S. intelligence or Israeli intelligence?
Well, of course, we share intelligence with a lot of agencies, British, Israeli, and so forth, but it was our intelligence that motivated us to act. And I think on the intelligence, Kristen, the thing that I would really emphasize is the way in which the Iranians seem to be stonewalling us. That was not, by the way, our consensus back in March of this year. We saw the Iranians...
The only people that are stonewalling the United States are the Russians when it comes to negotiations. This is insane.
Some concessions. We thought the conversations were actually productive.
Yeah.
By mid-May, everybody in our intelligence community and the president's senior team looked at ourselves and said, the Iranians are not being serious. They're no longer making concessions. They're no longer actually responding to some of the offers that we're making. If you believe, as we did, that the Iranians are rushing towards a nuclear weapons program while simultaneously refusing to negotiate, how could we do anything but take serious action against this program?
Do you and President Trump trust the U.S. intelligence community and its assessments?
Oh, of course we trust our intelligence
of course.
community, but we also trust our instincts. And
of course we do, but we trust Trump's brain more and his feelings.
Most importantly, we trust what the intelligence was telling us about the Iranians stonewalling the negotiation. I think that is really the hidden story here, and something the media has got to report a little bit more here.
Vibes,
is
exactly.
that the Iranians stopped negotiating in good faith.
Vibes.
That was the real catalyst, I think, to what the president ultimately decided to do. If we were having a productive negotiation, I think that this could have gone in a much different pathway. Unfortunately, the Iranians decided to stonewall us, and we saw the consequences of that last night.
Mr. Vice President, very quickly, as you know, this is dividing lawmakers on Capitol Hill. Many Republicans supportive, but Congressman Thomas Massie saying this was unconstitutional. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez saying it's grounds for impeachment, saying the president should have gotten congressional approval first. What do you say to members of Congress who say it was unconstitutional for the president to act unilaterally?
Well, I'd say two things, Kristen, and this is very important. First of all, the president has clear authority to act to prevent the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and the worst weapon of mass destruction of them all is nuclear. The idea that this was outside of presidential authority, I think any real serious legal person would tell you that's not true. And the second thing is, Kristen, I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign...
Do you actually, J.D. Vance, with your eyeliner, you empathize? Yeah, I empathize with the majority of Americans that are tired of the Middle Eastern wars, but we're doing it anyway. Fuck them.
Destruction, and the worst weapon of mass destruction of them all is nuclear. The idea that this was outside of presidential authority...
Guys, these are weapons of mass destruction Pro Max. Okay? Weapons of mass destruction plus. You haven't heard of shit like this before. These are nukes now. You heard of weapons of mass destruction, but have you heard of nukes?
I think any real serious legal person would tell you that's not true. And the second thing is, Kristen, I certainly empathize with Americans who are exhausted after 25 years of foreign entanglements in the Middle East.
Islam specifically states in the Quran to push Jews out to the sea. That sounds like not my problem. Wow, that sounds like something that doesn't affect me.
Least I understand the concern, but the difference is that back then we had dumb presidents, and now we have a president who actually knows how to accomplish America's national security objectives. So this is not going to be some long, drawn-out thing. We've got in, we've done the job of setting their nuclear program back. We're going to now work to permanently dismantle that nuclear program over the coming years, and that is what the president has set out to do. Simple principle. Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. That has animated American policy over the past 130 days. It's going to continue to be a driving force of our policy in the Middle East for the next 3.5 years.
Great.
Vice President J.D. Vance, thank you for joining.
Taco policy. Wow. Well, there was the full interview with J.D. Vance. Saw a couple clips, couple minute clips here and there, but there was the full deal. Weapons of mass destruction plus, guys. Premium. Thank you, Stuart Monty, for becoming a member of the channel. Appreciate you. Yeah, Israel wants Gaza gone. Israel wants Palestinians gone. Okay. Like, you're gonna play victim for one side and not the whole picture. Israel wants to take the Gaza Strip and make it Israel, part of Israel. And more. And have more territorial expansion desires. Bombing another country isn't a war, but someone immigrating here is an invasion. So the IDF have posted today. Like, if you think we got a Twitch channel, you're like, I'm not in on religion. I don't care. If you're like going to use religious parables and you throw the Bible or the Quran at me or whatever, I don't care. Stories. Good stories. Good books you can read. Some life lessons in them. Is this in English?
We are in the midst of an historic...
Okay, so this is the latest from the IDF a couple hours ago. 3 hours ago, rather.
We are in the midst of an historic Operation Rising Lion. In one of the most complex and ambitious missions the IDF has carried out. Let me be clear. The Iranian regime is responsible for the war that has raged for over 600 days. From Gaza to Lebanon, from Yemen to Tehran, the Iranian regime has spent years fueling terror across the region. And now, the cost of their aggression is being felt on their own soil. Last night, the US military struck nuclear sites in Iran. These actions mark a crucial step stopping the Iranian regime's aggression and its ability to pose a threat to the region and the world. The regime's ability to threaten Israel is being dismantled piece by piece. Even while operating 1,500 kilometers away in Iran, the IDF is operating day and night on multiple fronts to achieve all objectives of the war. Last night, in a joint operation by the IDF and ISA, the bodies of 3 Israeli hostages were recovered from the Gaza Strip. Ofra Keidar, Natanz and Staff Sergeant Shai Levinson. All 3 were brutally murdered and abducted by the Hamas terrorist organization. Ofra Keidar was 71 years old, a mother of 3, from Kibbutz Be'eri. She was married to Shmuel Keidar. Both were murdered brutally in their kibbutz. Natanz was 21 years old. He was celebrating life at the Nova Music Festival when Hamas opened fire on him. He was then dragged into Gaza by Hamas terrorists. Even more disturbing, one of the terrorists was an UNRWA worker. Let that sink in. UN workers took part in the October 7th massacre.
Some bold allegations.
Staff Sergeant Shai Levinson was.
Is that why you bombed them? Is that why you bombed the World Central Kitchen workers?
19 years old. He was a tank commander who bravely fought against terrorists on the morning of October 7th. He fell in battle, defending Israeli communities until his last moments. His body was then taken to Gaza. 50 hostages still remain in brutal captivity. We will not rest until every hostage is home. We will continue to act with resolve and determination to protect the citizens of Israel. Thank you very much.
Okay, well, that's the latest IDF statement. 3 deceased hostages recovered Sunday, June 22nd. 24-hour recap. 2 F-5 fighter jets belonging to the Iranian armed forces at the Dezful airport in Iran struck. 8 launchers neutralized, including 6 that were ready for immediate launch towards Israel. Also, 27 minutes ago, they posted, the Iranian regime can try to run, but we know where their infrastructure is hiding.
Iran, we know exactly who you are. We know the destruction of Israel is what you want. And now we know something else. Your top commanders are fleeing because even they no longer believe you're untouchable. If you're looking to threaten us with ballistic missiles, nuclear sites, and your terrorist proxies, we can tell you, you won't break us. We don't have a terrorist regime running our country, but what we do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills we've built over decades. Skills that have dismantled terror networks, neutralized nuclear ambitions, and forced your leadership into hiding. You've embedded terrorism into your government. You've turned the IRGC and Quds Force into global threats. And now, you're watching your war plans fail, your assets compromised, and your threats crushed before you even had a chance to launch them. We don't need to threaten you. We've already demonstrated what happens when we do find you. And we will find you again if we have to. But next time, you won't be able to run.
TikTok, back and forth. Me more. Okay, so what did Iran say? Okay, so here's Iran. So there's IDF meme. Here's the Iranian meme.
We're your friend, not your enemy.
Back and forth. Graphic.
We've always distinguished between the Iranian people and the Iranian regime. The regime is cruel. The people are not. The regime is aggressive. The people are warm. I yearn for the day when Israelis and Iranians can once again visit each other freely in Tehran and Isfahan, in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. The fanatics must not win. Their cruelty must not conquer our compassion. We must defeat terror and tyranny, and we must ensure that freedom and friendship win.
It's freedom and friendship. So that's what Iran says. Both sides. There you go. IDF and Iran. And then also we're waiting on more serious matters with the Strait of Hormuz. On if that's going to be open or closed or what's happening there. Iran orders closure of Strait of Hormuz, putting 1/5 of world's oil supply at risk. Okay. What is this website? Is there a better website right now? Axios. Iran permanently reportedly backs closure of oil transit channel. Iran's parliament has endorsed the closing the Strait of Hormuz, a vital oil transit point off its coast, but the authority rests with the regime security officials per summaries of state-controlled media. Why it matters, impending the strait would likely bring a massive spike in oil prices that would flow through. So gas prices, guys, you like high gas prices? You love that. Americans love that. Americans literally, like, if gas prices go up and down, that will change lives. Whole life decisions will be changed now. You'll have MAGAs actually not be MAGA anymore after this one. Not all of them. Not all of them. Not even a majority, but there will be some. They'll fall off when the gas prices go up. That'll be the final straw for them. But again, not all of them. A good amount. Until it hits the pocketbook and you're paying more for things, people won't change until, in America, the fastest way to change Americans is money. And nothing else, really. Money up or money down. The narrow channel between Iran and Oman is the choke point for a quarter of the world's seaborne oil trade and around 1/5 of all oil and movements. Catch up quick. The threat is among the initial responses to yesterday's U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. Trying to block the strait would be the first time that Israel-Iran conflict meaningfully affects global oil flows. And that, boy, I think we have protests. If gas prices go up, you're going to have some, boy, you'll have all the anti-war protests. Gas price for America. Patriot prices. I'm trying to figure out what the cope is going to be. If this happens, gas prices are going up, and it looks like it is. We started seeing this story as it was developing on social media, but I don't trust a single thing until I see some other reporting, and it looks like we're getting that. Iranian parliament approves the closure of the corridor. Big geopolitical moves beyond today's press conference. Rubio's on Face the Nation today. All right, do we have that whole clip now? We just listened to Vice President. Gotta listen to all the numbskulls today. Isn't this a great Sunday? Shout out to Mod Nikki. Do we have the full Face the Nation with Little Marco? Inside Operation Hammer. Okay, we got clips until we can get the full one yet. Let's go to Aaron Rupar. I think he's posting the clips from it. Okay. So we'll watch the whole thing when it drops, but here's a clip to start. Rubio and Brennan on Face the Nation.
No, but that's a question. That's a question of intent, and you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more.
Biden destroyed Trump's drill baby drill plan last day in office. Based.
But
that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Now, forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon. Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms, they have the enrichment capability, they have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see. Right. Well, especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all.
Yeah, if you just keep talking and not let her ask questions, then you can't answer the tough questions.
Yes, and no one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here. And they were censured at the IAEA for that enrichment and for violating their non-proliferation agreements. I was simply asking if we had intelligence that there was an order to weaponize? Because you said weaponization ambitions,
well, we
which
have
implies
intelligence that they have everything they need to build a nuclear weapon, and that's more than enough.
Okay.
Wow, it's more than enough. So the assessment hasn't changed since Tulsi Gabbard testified at her confirmation hearing that they don't have nukes, but they have the potential. They don't have any, but there's you know, you let them cook a little bit, they might have them in 2 weeks. They might have them, so that hasn't changed. So they don't have nukes, but we can't let them develop them, which it doesn't take. It takes so long. 2 weeks. Crazy work. Holy shit. Bro, y'all are about one thing. Let's be real. That is hating Trump and going. I mean, that's like part of it. Milky. That's part of it. I mean, Donald Trump brings a lot of hate to himself, though. His own actions. Dang, you got Marco Rubio going on all the networks, too. Here he was on Bartolomo.
Look, at the end of the day, if Iran is committed to becoming a nuclear weapons power, I do think it puts the regime at risk. I really do. I think it would be the end of the regime if they tried to do that.
You act like it's not free speech to hate Trump. As if, like, you're not perpetually hating any liberal at all times. And, like, that's cool. But, like, we can't hate Trump. And that's, like, a bad, I guess.
We've been set back from a technical standpoint, not just due to what we did last night, but obviously the Israelis have done incredible work in advance as well. But ultimately, they have to make a decision. It's a very simple decision. If what they want is nuclear reactors so they can have electricity, there are so many other countries in the world that do that, and they don't have to enrich their own uranium. They can do that. But if what they want is a secret program buried in the mountain where no one can see it and inspectors can only come when they say they can come, if that's what they want, then they're going to have big problems, because this is a dangerous, violent, radical regime. Not the Iranian people. We have no problem. We didn't hit Iranian people last night. We hit nuclear facilities. And if what they want is some secret program that looks nothing like the civil nuclear programs around the world, it looks a lot like you're trying to build a bomb, they're going to continue to have problems, not just with us.
What does that even mean?
But with many other countries in the world.
Oh boy, all of the common culprits are on the news today. Oh boy.
Is that this could lead to a wider war, maybe boots on the ground. Vice President J.D. Vance said that they're not interested in boots on the ground, didn't necessarily rule it out. Are you worried about that?
No, I don't think I see boots on the ground in our future, but I do see Israel not stopping. Israel's not going to live this way anymore. They're not going to be subject to missile attack every day and every night living in bunkers. They're going to go after the heart of this regime. They're going to take it down one of two ways: make it change or replace it.
What do you say, though, is that this could lead...
Nice. We're not doing regime change. We're doing regime change. We're not doing regime change in Iran. We're totally doing it. Lindsey Graham on what Netanyahu told him on the phone.
And I know you just got off of the phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu. What did he say to you about this moment?
Well, first, about the president's decision, I thought it was bold, quite frankly, brilliant militarily, necessary, and most importantly, effective. So well done, Mr. President, to your team and our military. It's a fantastic operation that has substantially degraded, I think, Iran's nuclear program. So I talked to Bibi just a few minutes ago, and I said, what would you like me to say? He said, tell the American people Israel is profoundly grateful for all we do for Israel, and very grateful to President Trump for what he ordered last night. Two messages. He wanted me to urge the Iranian people to end this madness.
Yeah, tell the Iranian people to stop.
Take this regime down and have a better life for yourselves and be part of the region in a new and different way. And second, he wanted me to tell the American people, Israel's not going to live this way anymore.
Israel.
They're not going to live under threat from Iran anymore. Last night they were attacked. The early morning hours of today, after the attack by President.
Yeah, no, they were facing retaliation because it's been going back and forth. That's been going back and forth. Israel attacks Iranian sites. Iran attacks Israel. Back and forth.
Israel fired ballistic missiles into Israel, wounding Israeli citizens. 24 have been killed. This regime is not going to be tolerated by Israel, is what he told me.
Okay, so let me follow up with you on that point, Senator, because Prime Minister Netanyahu has signaled that Israelis want to carry out regime change. Would you support that if Israel were to carry out regime change?
If I were Israel, I would have done it a long time ago. They've been held back in many ways. What would be the right response if America had a ballistic missile fired into our country and killed our citizens? We would wipe the offender off the map. So here's what I hope. After the hospital attack, and they were so lucky not to lose a lot of people, Israel's made a decision. This regime is going to change in one of two ways. They're going to change their behavior, which I doubt, the regime itself, or the people are going to replace the regime. They have less capability today than they did yesterday, but they're still religious Nazis. They want to purify Islam. They want to destroy the Jewish state and kick us out.
Is that going to be the strat? Just call them religious Nazis, huh? It's like no different than the Likud and Zionism. If you're applying the same, criteria. Crazy. So that's what's going on the news and the pundits that are
American interest. Would the United States military take action to keep, for example, the transit point, the Strait of Hormuz, open? If there are attacks on oil installations, would the United States consider that a direct act by the state, even if it was carried out by a militia?
Well, I'm not going to take options away from the president. That's not something we're talking about right now in terms of being immediate. But if they do that, the first people that should be angry about it are the Chinese government, because they take a lot of their oil comes through there. So they should be the first ones that are saying if they mine the Straits of Hormuz, the Chinese are going to pay a huge price. And every other country in the world is going to pay a huge price. We will too. It'll have some impact on us.
But temporary pain for the American people, okay?
It'll have a lot more impact on the rest of the world. A lot more impact on the rest of the world. It would be a suicidal move on their part, because I think the whole world would come against them if they did that.
Would they? Rubio today on the news.
There are no planned military operations right now against Iran unless they mess around and they attack American or American interests.
Yeah, we're not done. Yep. We're locked in. Yeah, this ain't, if you're like, hey, Merc, is this like, some strikes and then we fuck off and this is done? Nope. Absolutely not.
Then they're going to have a problem. And I'm not going to broadcast what those problems are, but suffice it to say, know this. The United States flew halfway around the world, right into the heart of Iran, over their most sensitive locations. These things got rocked. And then we left. And we were out of their airspace. We were over the ocean before they figured out what had happened. And there are plenty of other targets. We don't want to do that. That's not our preference. We want peace deals with them, and that's up to them to decide.
We don't want to bomb them. Well, we did. It's like we're abusive or gaslighting.
No, but that's a question. That's a question of intent, and in the intelligence.
We got to see this whole clip.
It was that Iran wanted to be a threshold
state
and use this leverage.
The public assessment that was given in Tulsi Gabbard.
Talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation.
It's your own intelligence assessment's inaccurate.
That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Now, forget about intelligence.
Is he, so no, so feelings over the intelligence. He's trying to say, look at the world sees how bad Iran is. The world sees how bad. Look at Hamas, Hezbollah. They're so bad they say death to America. I mean, come on. You see that, right? The intelligence doesn't count for that. What the heck? Forget about intelligence, he says. Forget intelligence. We don't need that. We're allergic to that.
Of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon? Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why?
Israel. That's why.
How do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms, they have the enrichment capability, they have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see.
Right. Well,
especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all
yes, and no one's
in the
disputing. No one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here. And they were censured.
Okay, we saw that. We saw the rest of that clip before. I'd like to see the whole interview, uncut. It'll probably get posted to YouTube soon. Looks like you got him on the ropes. U.S. faces heightened terrorism threat. Boy, are we going back? Are we redoing Iraq again or what? Terrorism Advisory Bulletin warns of heightened threat environment. Yeah, America, we got to use this, listen, to protect you, to keep you safe. We got to use this brand new program called Palantir technology, and it'll keep you safe from these terrorist attacks, guys. You excited? A bulletin from the National Terrorism Advisory System warns of a heightened threat environment in the United States following U.S. military strikes on Iran's nuclear sites. The bulletin, obtained by CBS News and dated Sunday morning, June 22nd, does not note any current or specific threats, but warns that low-level cyber attacks against U.S. networks by pro-Iranian hacktivists are likely. Okay, so cyber attacks. Make sure you got your internet security up. Make sure everything's updated. If you don't have internet security, you're gonna figure it out. Or do what you gotta do. So increase cyber attacks. Hopefully nothing beyond that. Which can be definitely damning too. They can get into your identity if you don't have protection. Yep. So that could be really bad, but obviously when people think of heightened threat environment, I don't think people really think to cyber attacks right away, unless you're super into tech, of course. But cyber attacks happen every single day, all day long. All day long there's cyber attacks back and forth between different ISPs. Ron Johnson.
Well, I don't know how anybody could have been surprised at this. I think President Trump certainly telegraphed it.
Wisconsin.
He said he was going to make his decision in a couple of weeks. I certainly understand why President Trump would not share that information with the Democrats in Congress. And again, the operational security is just so crucial to protect our service.
So again, the only one that's broken operational security at the highest levels is Trump's own administration with Pete Hegseth. So for this loser to say, good thing Democrats didn't find out. But I didn't find out either, and that's good, because I'm better.
Men and women, I didn't need notice. I've been saying for over a week, it'll be the president's decision. I will support that decision because we cannot allow
Because you're a cuck.
Iran.
Because you're a cuck. That's why. You're cucked. why would Iran agree to any peace deal if the U.S. has already pulled out of the one they had? Trump did in 2018, exactly, and now launched 2 surprise attacks. Exactly.
War. You know, I'm trying for the Americans at home who are going, are we at war? You know, I'm trying to suss out some of the facts here. So why would Iran agree to any peace deal if the United States has already pulled out of one that
which Trump did the first time he was president?
They had, as President Trump did in 2018, and now have launched 2 surprise attacks. Both Israel and the United States have done so. There is such a
Iran must come to the table now. They must seek peace after all this. Wild.
Massive trust deficit there. How could you possibly come
but the trust deficit started with Iran.
I know.
Well, the trust deficit, the ones that shouldn't be trusted are the Iranians because they're the ones that sponsor terrorism. Did they forewarn us before they blew up the embassy in Lebanon and killed over 200 American servicemen?
Wow.
Did they forewarn us before they built IEDs and blew the legs and arms off of American servicemen in Iraq? I mean, these are the people that are doing this forever. They're the ones that no one should trust.
Is this happening to American citizens? Is this happening to Americans that are trying to pay grocery bills or trying to get by?
They're the ones that have lied about their nuclear.
Like I don't want to see my fellow soldiers getting blown up and shit, but like we have bases in the Middle East. Like it's like the job, unfortunately.
Nuclear program.
But are these Iranians like attacking the United States? No, they're not.
But
they're the ones that have hidden things from the
like
international organisms.
But that sounds like we're headed towards regime change, or the desire to get these people out of power.
No.
Are you?
No. A serious foreign policy is one that's focused on identifying what our national interest is. You don't have to like the regime. There are a lot of regimes around the world that we don't like. Okay, but in this particular case, what we are focused on is not the changing of the regime. Okay, that's up to the Iranian people if they want to do that, but that's not what we're focused on. Our national interest is about one thing, and that is Iran not getting anywhere near the capability to weaponize and have nuclear weapons. They're not going to get anywhere near that capability. The president has made that clear from day one. Our preference for solving that problem, that very specific problem, is through diplomacy. We've said that. We've given it every opportunity. They played games. They tried delay tactics. They're trying delay tactics now on the Europeans because of the snapback provisions.
When did
and you
the
talk about the
president
JCPOA,
make
that was a crazy deal.
When did the president?
Hope. IDF Farsi posted. In broad daylight, we completely surprised the Imam Hussein missile base in central Iran, the furthest target we've ever struck. Okay, that's from the IDF. Oh, you're going to have a lot of right-wing infighting over this. Big time. Big time. Big time. Oh, there's the actual photo. There's the actual image, clear image of Operation Midnight Hammer as I was waiting for. Because I took a screenshot and posted it. Or I took a picture on my phone of my computer. But here's a clean one. Of Operation Midnight Hammer, which was the 7 B2 and 4 4th and 5th gen fighter operation into Iran, striking 3 of their uranium enrichment facilities. And we learned that in this morning's press conference. We did. All right. Well, guys, it's 10 in the morning. I haven't slept at all. Okay. I'm gonna go to bed for a little bit, and then we'll come back with afternoon coverage. We likely will have protests to look at, more to get into. It's a Sunday, so I mean, shit'll be moving again tomorrow. So likely be back again. later on. But make sure if you're new to the channel, subscribe, notification bell turn on. I'm going to bed. I'll see you guys on the next one. Join the Discord server. Thank you to the members, new members on the stream. I appreciate you. Everybody tuning in on Twitch, thank you. Everybody on Facebook, you're awesome. You guys have a good rest of your little morning. See you guys later. Peace.